There'll be a group within the group. These guys are a real tight unit. You'll see them, you'll know it.
Look at me.
They sucked his brains out.
Utah, give me 2.
Yes, everybody, you are in the documentary stream.
You ever bring their glow sticks? You bring your ecstasy and your glow sticks so we can get the rave on?
Yeah, props to Brad for making that cool intro there.
Yeah, it's way cooler than the stream is going to be. I can tell you that much. Those boring fucking streams.
So everybody take a bump of speed, whatever you need to get through this. But we are doing our top 5 documentary streams. It's something we all wanted to do. We were excited about. It was not my idea. This was something that these guys put together. They let me join. I'm not the biggest documentary guy. I do like documentaries, but it's not my go-to genre by no means. But I've watched quite a few. I was able to pick my top 5 pretty easily. What about you guys? Did y'all struggle?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to go through. You know what I mean? There's so much to choose from. But I think I've got there. You know what I mean? This is the stuff that I go back to on more than one occasion. I've even used for reference material doing stuff. So I think this is the stuff that I do target back to.
Yeah, if you watch a documentary more than once, it's one of your favorite documentaries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Because who watches a documentary twice? Who owns documentaries? You fucking retards. That's who does. And me, Gizmo, some of these guys. You know, they qualify for that.
The thing about it for me is this ain't like doing a top 5 Clint Eastwood stream or something like that. Because this is such a broad spectrum of movies or of, documentaries. It's hard to, to go through and pick out this one, out of so many. Even though I don't watch the amount you guys do, I've watched a lot over my life, and just kind of going back and remembering some of the ones I've seen. I did watch some for the first time that may or may not have made this list. But yeah, it was fun if nothing else. So
yeah,
it was interesting.
This is gonna put you over the top. You're gonna have 1 million subscribers after this one. This is the video that brings you to that next level.
Yeah. This is the one that breaks the internet.
This is the Clint stream times 1,000. I mean, as far as people, watching it goes.
Yeah, I would click on it.
He's like, we got 4 people in the chat. Nobody gives a shit. I'm just looking forward to seeing what everybody else pulls. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
This is going to be, I think, a stream where nobody pulls the same titles. It's possible, but it would be really shocking to me if somebody pulled the same. Because documentaries that Gizmo was talking about earlier, they're so personal and it's so subjective. That's what I think makes it interesting. It'll be fun. And I asked
I
a
don't know
lot
about
of
you
people
guys,
about this stream, by the way. I asked a lot of people about this stream, and there was very little interest in participating at all. A Gizmo's like, can we make it a top 10? But very few people even wanted to do it. So it just tells you what kind of reception it's going to get. But it'll be fun regardless.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll go through the chat and we'll jump into it. What's up, Tony?
Tony was asked.
Hey, guys.
Tony was asked. He's like, listen, whatever it is, no.
Holland says, hate all of us, but mainly hated Tony.
Yep. Actually.
Benicio, what's going on, man? What's up, peoples? Appreciate you being here.
What's up, man?
And what's up, pimps? This intro was badass. I agree. Dirt, what's going on, man? Hey, now I was wondering, what WTF is this?
Yeah.
4K King, what's going on? Collection questions is number 1. The Killing of America. I've watched that one like 4 times.
I came up on some lists. I don't think I saw that one.
4K King says number 2 is Tribe Called Quest beats Rhymes and Life.
Yeah.
So this is pretty much going to be a stream where I'm getting a bunch of recommendations of documentaries I need to watch. That's what the stream's going to be for me.
It's going to be a big.
I got my fucking notepad right here. I'm ready to write them down.
I'm always looking for new documentaries to watch. I love them. Like I said, I'm elderly. So that's what old guys do. And they're
the oldest 36-year-old man in the United States.
There's nothing. I'm 35. There's nothing that
you might as well be 36. You might as well be 36.
I'm 36 next month. There's nothing that you get sucked into harder than a great documentary. A really good documentary, you're glued to it, and that's what I like to do. Like I'm big on I don't like being taken out of a movie. If you see something weird in a movie, like it doesn't belong or whatever, like it's really easy for me to get taken out of a movie. Documentary, if it's really good, I'm in it. I'm sucked into it. So I really enjoy that.
Yeah. That's the sign of a good documentary that can suck you in like that. There are some documentaries that I came across when I was kind of searching around Netflix, and there are some bad ones. That just didn't catch me. I'm 15 minutes in, I'm turning it off, going to something else. But
yeah. I mean, I think at the moment when it comes to stuff like that, that's what the streaming services supply best. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm the world's worst at hating. Well, sorry, the world's best at hating on streaming services. But if you want documentaries, streaming services is a place to go because everything's on there, from the sublime to the ridiculous, from the cheap to the biggest budgets you can find. It's all on streaming services.
Yeah, HBO has always been killing it with documentaries. Netflix, I don't think there's probably a better streaming service for documentaries. They're out there.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, a lot of them don't get physical releases. That's kind of the place to watch them, is streaming.
Yep.
And by the way, we're also multicasting to PBS. So this is going to PBS for all the other dry, I would say the dry English type shows, but I don't want to offend my man there.
We finally get the multi-stream setup for for Tony, and this is the fucking one that we're doing it for. He's like, this is going to do a lot for my channel, guys. Thanks. I've lost subscribers over this fucking stream. Tony's creeping in on 1,000 subscribers, man. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and knock that out.
Yeah, man. Y'all subscribe. Y'all get in there.
Yeah, jump over there. It's been a long slog, to be honest, to get that close, but it's coming.
All right. Dirk says you better have one of Kubrick, Lynch, and Stone. I'm sure Brad's got all 3 of those.
Yeah, sure.
Also, I'm here to see what crazy shit Gizmo was thinking. Why do you think I'm here? Why do you think I agreed to do this shit?
When did I have that? You can start with this. Hold up. But they both are great. They are not in my list.
American Pimp is a fantastic and informative documentary. And, believe it or not, I never participated in any kind of prostitution. I was surprised at how cheap it was. Like the prices, I'm going like, I figured it was like, I don't know what I thought, but I didn't think it was like $40 or whatever the fuck they're charging. Like in California, like Jesus Christ.
I'm just trying to learn the culture in America with this film.
Yeah, that's a good one. A good one to learn how it works in the gangland of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Anthony saying hey to everybody. Everybody saying hey. What's going on, Mom Blu-ray? Just hey, hey guys. I watched The Killing of America. Severin released it.
I have heard of it. Now that you mentioned it was a Severin release, I don't. Benicio, is it got a bunch of woke shit in it? That's one thing I think I looked into it and I thought that might have been it. Like it was like this big like woke thing, but let me know, man.
I don't remember what it's about.
I forget. It's not about. I don't remember if it was about oppression or something like that. I don't remember the details, but now that he says it's a Severin release, I remember seeing it and looking into it, maybe watching a trailer.
I know I've seen it. I just can't remember what it's about, the documentary.
All right, 4K King says, everyone add collection questions to your notepads.
Collection questions. Cool. I'll have to check it out. Oh, yeah.
Don't Fuck with Cats was good, too.
That's a really good documentary on Netflix.
What's going on, Allie? I said, hello, very interested to see what documentaries you guys pick.
Yeah,
Me too.
It's really interesting.
Gizmo, put that goddamn pinky out when you sip from a teacup.
It's black inside here, so it's coughing.
Yes, I hate Allie.
It's night here.
Okay, so it feels like that sometimes.
Play with your dolls.
Just followed everyone up here. Appreciate it, man.
Cool.
Benicio says, hell yeah, American Pimp is awesome.
Yep.
Faces of Death is a great one.
Well, it is a documentary in many ways.
Yeah,
so
but
that's the thing.
It's a mockumentary, like it's fake. All that
No,
it's all fake.
It's just 2 of the sketches are fake in the first one, but
no, they were all. It was all fake. They were all fake.
No, not the gunshot to
in the first
head.
one.
No, not the gunshot to the head. That's real. That's the politician from.
Oh, they showed the guy killing himself in America. The over a scandal. There's video of a guy on the news pulling a gun out and shooting himself in the face. He shoots himself in the mouth with a revolver. That was real. If that's on there. And I think it does show. I think it might show the another shooting, but the monkey stuff and all that crazy shit.
So the monkey brains they were eating in the fucking restaurant, that wasn't real monkey brains?
From what I understand, no.
Pretty fucking real.
Anthony might have got the cut version anyway. Like I got the German version.
You'll be fine with that, man. You'll be fine with that.
Yeah.
All right, also Gizmo. The only one you need for American culture is Super Size Me.
I've seen it. I have it on DVD. Actually,
that's actually a very fun documentary.
I have seen it. It's a long time back, but I have seen it.
Makes me crave a fucking Big Mac. Fenicio says, no fuck woke BS. It's about the brutality that has happened in America and shows a lot of real death.
Oh, cool, man. I'll check it out.
Wild Wrangler say, what's going on, Wild Wrangler? Says, hey to Dirk, fuck everybody else.
Yep.
Benicio says, I'd say The Killing of America is the real version of Faces of Death, plus lots of great real information about situations.
Yep. That sounds good.
I don't know if I've seen it, actually.
I was saying, hey, back.
Sounds so familiar.
All right, Pops, check out Going to Pieces documentary yet. I have not. I did watch the other. Well, we'll talk about it later. Well, I could go. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. I did watch one of the ones you recommended. Wild Wrangler saying, what's up to Holland? Andy says, Gizmo, is that the room where you keep all those poor hitchhikers you find on the side of the road?
This is my fucking living room, man. I keep them in the garage.
Yeah.
All right, we are caught up with the chat here, so we're gonna. It looks like you're in a fucking prison cell in fucking Shawshank. Okay, there you go. Or fucking asylum. You got an hour on the internet for good behavior. All right, we're gonna start with my man Brad there. Let me figure this shit out again.
All right, I don't have a copy of this. I ordered it let's just say a certain boutique retailer took their fucking sweet ass time shipping it, like not what they normally do. But anyway, it's a making of documentary. So I'll hold up the movie here, but the movie's called the documentary is from 2019. It's directed by Alex Philippi. It's a hour and 35 minutes. It's called Memory: The Origins of Alien. I don't know if anybody's seen that documentary. It's on Shudder right now. You can buy a Blu-ray or a DVD of it. I highly recommend it. It's the definitive documentary on Alien. It's a mix of new interviews and archival interviews, mostly of crew, but some cast, but it's mostly of crew, the people that made it, which is what I really like about it. You know, like I didn't want to watch a 90-minute documentary on how important Sigourney Weaver was to feminism and bullshit. She's an actor. She's reading fucking lines. Okay. She's not that important. The people that made it is what I was interested in my opinion. But you know, the archival and the new stuff is blended perfectly. Of course, you know, Ridley Scott interviews peppered throughout. They talk about the set pieces, the symbolism, all the little undertones going on in the movie. They go a little too far into it. It's like a Dirk level, like, you know, dive a little too far, but like some room 237 shit. But other than that, it is great. There is of course some feminist propaganda type shit in it. Very little, maybe 5%, but of course they had to stick that in there. 2019, okay, we're right in the heart of the woke movement. So unfortunately, PC era was in there, but there's also some bleeding heart moron type shit in there. But even with all that, I think it's great. I loved it. Watched it twice. Also, you know, you get some interviews from some other people, other directors, Roger Corman, John Carpenter. They make appearances. They go in great detail in the chest burster scene and how important and vital that was to the movie, because that's everything, you know, for the movie. If that didn't work, the whole movie's not going to work, really, once they get to that point. But of course, you'd expect that. It's, you know, and they deliver a good bit on that. The people who made it, you can tell, are obviously huge sci-fi fans. It's not a job to them. They really had a passion for it, and I think that's why the movie's so good. They really, really wanted it to be good. It's not a job, you know. They were doing it because they really wanted to do it, and that really is awesome. The archival interviews, you know, I hate archival interviews. And they're like, go get the fucking guy, do it again. Some of these people are dead, so they did the archival stuff, but it's done really well because the archival stuff is all like, they had a set piece that looked like the inside of the Nostromo, and on the screen, that's where the archival interview is playing. So it kind of dresses it up a little bit, you know, because an archival interview is going to be like some compressed bullshit, you know, it's shitty quality, and they dress it up. It's really well done. It helps the movie documentary flow, which I thought was awesome. Nice touch. And my most important thing about it goes into detail on H.R. Geiger, whatever you want to call him, and his role in the, you know, the whole production, not just the art. Without his art, without his input, you don't have an Alien franchise. He was vitally important to the entire, and he's some Swedish pervert. Like, I don't even know how they found him to do this, but he was incredible, really hands-on, multiple sculpts and all the shit. He kept trying it until it got perfect. Like I said, without him, you don't have a movie, you don't have a franchise, and they covered that really nice. I think his wife is also interviewed. They use archival stuff of him because I believe he's dead as well. So anyway, I've said enough about it. Memory: Origins of Alien, 2019. Pick it up, blind buy it, or you can stream it on Shudder right now.
Is that the one that's directed by Alexander or something?
Yeah, Philippi or whatever his name is. Yeah,
he's from Canada.
Yeah, I figured as much because there's some bullshit in there. You know, like they talk about fucking Bishop being a fucking chauvinist and fucking a woman hating piece of shit. He's a goddamn robot, you dumb cunt. You know, he's a fucking robot. Like he rolls up the magazine and tries to stick it down her throat. That's like a dick. Like it's like Jesus Christ, ladies, it's enough. But this was 2019. That was the height of the bullshit that was going on. So, you're going to have some of that in there. And they found a bit. When you see the bitch, you'll go, yep, that's her. You know, she's got the fucking glasses and the, you know, I don't know. But other than that, even with that shit in there, it's still great. It's the definitive, in my opinion, making of, and there's been several making of documentaries for Alien. This is the definitive one, in my opinion.
Nice. I have seen that one time.
Yeah. Cool.
Right after it come out. It was a good one.
Yep.
Okay. So for those people that are watching that know my channel and know me, they'll know I am not just a nerd, but an uber nerd. So a lot of this stuff you're going to see that's coming up from my channel, it's from a different perspective than what you're going to find from most of these guys, most definitely. So this one sums my love of fantasy writing, the whole fantasy genre in general. And this one's probably the godfather of it all. And this is the Origin of the Rings, an in-depth look at J.R. Tolkien's classics.
Okay.
Tolkien was a guy that was light years in front of where anybody else was when it came to this kind of stuff. His writings, his in-depth world building, his character building, I don't think has ever been rivaled to this day. It's unbelievably good this was. And this was a guy that had seen the First World War, had come back, was also a professor at Oxford University, was a guy that kept himself to himself, but just enjoyed this style of writing and really thought that he was going to be writing the whole sort of the trilogy of the Rings and all the prequel stuff that came before it for a male audience, for a male audience like us, an older audience. And what the publishers decided was it was a little bit too dark and a little bit too intimidating, and they wanted to aim it at a younger audience. So the whole Ring stuff was sort of like sat on for a while, and The Hobbit was spawned. And The Hobbit had this really sort of like more general sort of child-friendly atmosphere about it. And from there, the worlds were built. And if you go back and look at this stuff now, the guy was a master of doing what he was doing. The people that worked with him within the universities, within London, within Britain itself, knew how influential this guy was going to be and wasn't getting the recognition. And so much so that the publishers, once this went to sort of trade paperback and it went over to the US, this sold like hotcakes. It was an unbelievable seller in the US, and he didn't make one penny out of it. He never saw any of the money of any of those books that were sold in the US because there was some type of discrepancy between the publishing company, between the UK and going into the US. So for a long time, he never made any money off anything that he did. But the fans stuck with it, and everyone knows what happened with this as a film franchise. If you're a lover of the Lord of the Rings franchise or not, you can't take it away that it was a phenomenon of film. Not many film sort of franchises go the lengths that Peter Jackson went to with that. You can arguably say the Hobbit franchise wasn't as good, but still, as a Tolkien fan, you can't help but sort of tip your cap to this gentleman, because everything that came after this, anything in the fantasy genre, whether that was writings, whether that was TV, whether that was film, no matter what it was, all owes its thanks to this guy, J.R. Tolkien. Doesn't matter the way you look at it, everybody rode this guy's coattails. And it's a shame that the estate only started making money once he died. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before that, he hardly made any money at all. He was a teacher. That's what he did. That was his profession.
That's crazy.
But the people that know about him, the people that knew of him at the time and knew how good this guy was, no one was really listening. Even though the book was a bestseller, he still wasn't earning any money from it. And then it took so long, you know what I mean? They did an adaptation, the very, very back end of the 70s, a cartoon adaptation of Lord of the Rings, which didn't hit that well and it didn't make that much money. Then it was sat on as a franchise, as an idea for years and years, and they didn't know how to put it on TV. They didn't know how to put it on the big screen. And it took somebody at the end, like Peter Jackson, just to say, fuck it, we'll have a go and see what happens. But as a book, the whole trilogy is fabulous. The Hobbit is one of the first books I ever took sort of appreciation for. I wasn't a big reader of books as a child, and I remember having The Hobbit read to me at school, and instantly it just clicked. And that's what got me into reading. And it was a whole fancy thing. And then once you start getting into Tolkien and you realize how much Tolkien's work is out there, it's frightening. You know what I mean? The guy was a literary genius, and a world builder like no other. So if you've never seen this, The Origin of the Rings, this starts off right from his early career with his mother and his father. His mother and his father both died early on, and he was brought up by a local priest. And the local priest knew from an early age that he was gifted, and pushed him into the right directions. And from that point, it goes through his whole life, in seeing 2 world wars, in being a teacher at Oxford University, right up to the very end, up to his death. He was still turning stuff out. But it was a shame that the estate only started really making money once he passed away, and they started doing other things. I can remember, and it's not that long back, it's within 10 years, that Tolkien's own personal desk that had been in his own residence for God knows how long came up to auction. Now, you'd think an artifact like that would sell for serious money, and it only made 40 grand. 40 grand for the guy who wrote that.
Yeah, it's
on that desk.
The writers don't seem to get much credit. Really,
it's nothing. But like I say, if you're a fan of Tolkien's work, if you're a fan of the fantasy genre in general, and you've never seen Origin of the Rings, give it a watch. You'll probably enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, you said it best. Like it's the world building, the universe that he created, and then the story is almost like, okay, now we got. Maybe it feels backwards, but I feel like he designed that world and then came up with the stories with it. But
it was phenomenal.
That's why it's so deep and so well done.
Yeah,
he made a language. You know what I mean? Yeah. And didn't just. It was a written language. You know what I mean? It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are inspired by him. That R.R. Martin and everybody. Million writers.
Everyone that came from the back of him was probably inspired by the stuff he did, because there'd been no one before him doing that kind of thing. You know what I mean? There'd been odd fairy tale stories, but nothing so in depth.
When you got to think, man, how long ago was that? I mean, Tolkien. That's a long fucking time ago, and to come up with that intricate of a, it's just amazing how ahead of the time it was. It's not my thing at all, but I see those the stories are ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan. I've actually read all those books. I've read the whole series, The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings books, whatever. Of course, that was after the movies came out. I was one of those guys where they made a book about that. I'm more the movie guy, but I did. I grew up reading like Mad Magazine and shit. So I mean, I wasn't as cultured as most, but I was definitely more of a movie guy. But I've read a lot of Stephen King mainly, but yeah, those I have a big appreciation for those. I wrote it down. I'm gonna check it out, Tony.
Yeah, it's good. Like I say, as far as the books go, the books are way more in depth than the films ever could be or ever should have been. You know what I mean? They'd have never have put it on film what Tolkien wanted to put across. It would have never worked. There'd have just been too much. You know what I mean? Those extended cuts are about 3.5 hours long, and in theory, they chopped loads of the story out of those.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? From the original book. So you know what I mean? And again, there was so much stuff after it. You know what I mean? Stories like Giles of Ham and the Silmarillion, and there was just crap loads of this stuff. And they're not small books. They're like fucking War and Peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's everything's huge.
Yeah.
How old is that documentary? When was it produced?
The documentary, it's an older one now. I want to say mid to late 90s.
Okay, that's all. Yeah.
98, and then it was picked up on DVD in 2004.
Okay. Sounds interesting. I really want to check that out. Okay, my turn. This Brad is going to love this. I'm really into war documentaries, and I've had I don't remember the title. I always forget it because there was 2 war documentaries about the same incident. The first one is City of the Life and Death from something. I don't remember the last of the title. But it's from China during the Second World War. but I was almost picking that because I had the Eureka release, I think it is, from that documentary. But then I was at the storage, and this just reminded me that when I saw this documentary the first time, The Rise of Hitler, I think the original name for this is something like Hitler's Apocalypse or something. But the thing with this was the first documentary I saw where they did black and white and they colorized it, they went back and did that. It's a 2-part television kind of episode series or something for real. I don't know if it's different length on them, but this is a perfect length for this doc, and it tells exactly what you need to know, because it goes into Hitler's rise during when he took over and everything about that, but it also goes into a lot of personal stuff with Hitler that I never read about or never heard about his wife and how he treated women and stuff like that. But you got to remember that this story is told through the French perspective today. So, of course, the history is probably rewritten in many ways, but you got to swallow everything nowadays. But what I do love about this film is that it doesn't take sides in any ways. Like it's talk about the Nazis as humans, not like they are the evil. Hitler is, of course, evil, but the Nazis are more. You are not hating everyone you see in the fucking documentary. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So it works for me to see it, and it gives it a much stronger impact to see it then, because then you look at every soldier during a war as humans, like young kids that were tricked to doing this shit, and you get to learn how the person who kind of tricked them, how he was in many ways, and just look at him. He looks like a clown.
Yeah.
So it's like shorts. Yeah, the dress code was good on him. But I do really like this doc, and I've seen a bunch of those from the Second World War, and it was kind of hard for me to come up with who should I pick from that, like that subject matter, because I knew I had to add one title. But when I saw this in the storage, I had forgot about it. But I remember I saw this 2-3 times when I first bought it back in the days. So it was an easy pick when I first found it. I don't know if it is what to say more about it. It's from 2011, I believe. It's 2 directors on it. I know there's a female and a man who directed it. Isabel Clarke and Daniel Costell. But I can't remember if it was 2011. Yeah, around there at least. There's 2 documentaries called the same. So it's after 2010 at least. Yeah, and you know, Peter Jackson did that war doc from the First World War where he colorized it.
Colorized it, yeah.
What was the name of that? When We Grow Old? No. Yeah, something like that. I actually think it's better in this because they have gone a little bit more mental when it comes to the coloring, so they actually dare to push it further. Some of the stuff, of course, look a little bit too much grain over, like it's almost like they washed out the grain, so you can see grains on the sides of the colors, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look good, especially when you see the Nazi flag and stuff like that, because they have really pushed the red on that. But overall, it looks amazing. And you finally get to see Hitler, how stupid he looks. So that's also a big bonus.
You got that one written down, Alan. HITL.
He looks like he stole fucking Angus Young's wardrobe. Those fucking shorts going to fucking beach. Hold that cover up again.
Looks like a fucking mailman.
Yeah. But he was a mailman during the First World War.
There it is.
So,
it's all coming together.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's par for the course. That's a good one, man.
Yeah. That's where Alan pulled up his copy of Hitler. That's my number 5 too.
Yeah. My number 5 was Hitler too. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, my documentaries are going to be mainly stuff that I'm mostly interested in, And my biggest passion about anything is movies. So you're going to see that a lot in my list here. My first one probably ain't no real big surprise. Is Crystal Lake Memories: The Complete History of the Friday the 13th. I thought I had the physical of this. I got this on Vudu. I've watched this documentary probably 3 or 4 times. Watched it again for the first time in a while, and it holds up. If you are a fan of Friday the 13th, this thing is going to tell you anything you ever want to know about the franchise. It interviews all the cast. You know, it interviews the director. You got Freddy Krueger on here. You got Robert Englund. I mean, it goes so in depth in this movie. All the practical effects, the stuff that worked, the stuff that didn't work. You go back to locations. You have some of the actors going back to the actual locations now, kind of talking about some of the experiences they had. Like in one of the big ones that stands out in part 4, how cold the water was. The girl that was in the raft and got stabbed from under the raft. Basically, she went into hypothermia. The director, they had to get the shot. They wouldn't let her get out of the water. And the guy that played Jason, whatever, he basically said, "Look, you get her out of the water, or I walk." And they realized she actually did have hypothermia or whatever, and she had a tough time of it. But it's just little stuff like that. You learned more than you ever want to know about the damn franchise. It's my favorite franchise of any horror franchise. And every time I watch it, it's just like I watch it for the first time. I know most of the stories. I've heard most of the shit from all the special features from discs and stuff like that. But just the way they put it together in this documentary is so well done. It's narrated by Corey Feldman. And I'm not the biggest Corey Feldman fan, but he does a really good job with this. He goes into detail. Who was I wrote it down. Who was the Jason in part 4? Richard Booker? Is that wrong? It's probably wrong.
Yeah.
What's his fucking name? I can't ever remember all the Jason fucking names. I know fucking Kane Hodder.
No, I can't.
Dirk's in the chat screaming it right now. So.
Oh, I'm sure. Ted White. Ted White. Like I said, I'm bad with names. And I did take down a whole lot of notes on this because, I'm writing down shit I already fucking know for the most part. But anyway, he didn't like Corey Feldman. He wanted, his words, he wanted to beat that kid's ass. And it was interesting to hear him talk about that. Hear Corey Feldman talk about him, kind of their relationship. The Crispin Glover stuff was great. I'm not going to go into detail about all the intricate parts. Everybody's seen Friday the 13th. If you're a fan, you got to watch this documentary. It's one of my favorites. So I had to put it in the list somewhere, and I ended up on number 5.
That's the thing about a documentary.
Yeah,
you should have way more information than you need. That's the whole point of it, in my opinion. That's a good example of it, where it's just like anything you've ever wanted to know about Friday the 13th, that's in there.
Yeah, it really is. This thing is like 3.5 hours long, something like that. It's got a crazy runtime. I'm sorry, 6 hours and 40 minutes. Excuse me, it's got a runtime of 6 hours and 40 minutes. It's ridiculous. So there's nothing that Sean S. Cunningham goes into just blatantly being honest about he's straight up sold the idea from Halloween. He's seen Halloween and says, "Hey, how can we do this?" And so he doesn't pull any punches. He's honest about it, at least.
Yeah, well, Carpenter stole Halloween from Black Christmas, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's the thing is with that release as well. It feels episodic, so you don't feel you have to sit and watch it in one straight run through like you would have to do with more documentaries. You watch about the first film and then turn it off. The night after, you can go back to it and watch part 2. That's what the thing I like the most. The thing that we got with the UK edition, which was put out by 101, there's a fucking disc missing in this. So you guys in the US, it's a 2-disc edition with an extra 3rd bonus disc. So the 3rd bonus disc has got a lot of stuff on it as well, and it's missing out of this set. So we only got the first 2 discs. We never got the bonus disc in the UK release. So there's actually stuff missing in this.
In your
I have the same
face.
as you, Tom.
In your face, you Brits.
I believe if you buy the DVD version, which I don't know who put the DVD version out in the UK years ago, the whole of it's there on about 4 discs. Well, for some reason, when 101 put it out on Blu-ray, they decided to keep that 3rd disc out. Whether it was a cost thing or what, I don't know.
But who released it in America? Is it Severin or?
No, it's not Severin.
No,
it's been out. It's been out a long while as well.
Yeah, that Never Sleep Again was the other one that kind of came out. I think the same company put both of them out. I don't remember who did it.
Yeah, well, 101 have just released that as well.
Yeah.
Is that the Nightmare on Elm
I can't see it.
It doesn't say who put it out in this, what I'm reading here.
Tony, is it Night on Elm Street you hold up there? Or?
No, mate.
Yeah, I had this. I had the same.
Memories.
Yeah. Like I said, 101 I've just put Never Sleep Again out as well.
Yeah.
I think that came out last week.
Yeah.
But I can't think who put the original one out in the US. It doesn't actually say on the back of this. But no, it's a 3-discer in the US, and we only got a 2-discer of it in the UK.
Yeah, I need to get a physical copy. I just got it on Voodoo. They had like some kind of sale while year and a half ago or so. They had that and Never Sleep Again as a bundle, and it was dirt cheap. So I grabbed that, and I was going to grab the physical and never did because I just watched it. But I still need to grab those.
Yeah, that 101 release now. I think you can get that for a tenner. I think you can get that for £10 now.
It says that this is a 4-disc release. I'm sure one's just a DVD copy also, but 1428 Studios.
I don't know.
That's what I'm finding. I'm not familiar with that.
All right, we'll call up the chat here. Dirk says Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove is a high recommendation.
Oh, of course. Sure.
Wild Wrangler says his head hurts. I hope everyone out there is great. Grizzly Man. I know you guys are big fans of Grizzly Man. Yeah, I watched that on Brad's recommendation last year. I enjoyed it. I mean, guy's a fucking moron, but I enjoyed it.
One of the funniest movies you'll ever see.
Yeah, I was definitely rooting for the Bears the whole time. Yeah. Spicy 4K actually says, "What's up, fellas? Happy Saturday to everyone. Same to you." Alien documentary bought at Dollar Tree.
Nice pickup.
Yeah, no doubt. Everybody's still saying, "Hey." Dirk says, "What about the face fuckers? Anything more about that?" Now, face fuckers is the actual term. That's what they're actually called in the movies.
That's medical term.
That's the medical term.
Yeah, there's plenty on the face huggers in the documentary as well.
That's the children version.
Yeah, you ever wonder why the face huggers can fly? Well, they don't fly. The tail is a coil and it's a spring and it jumps.
It's no.
It don't.
Yeah, that's disturbing as hell. All right. First time I heard about Lord of the Rings was because of Led Zeppelin. Dirk also grew up reading Mad magazines, so yeah, he's also as cultured as I am. My friends are staying here. Ramble on. I have to check it out, Tony. D&D probably was inspired by Lord of the Rings.
It certainly was.
It says, Anthony, what do you think of the Rings of Power show on Amazon?
I haven't watched it as yet because the trailer fucking put me right off. The initial trailer that they dropped for that shows you an arrow traveling in bullet time, which that took me out straight away. And then an elf is quicker than bullet time and grabs the arrow out of midair, turns it round and fires it back. No, I'm fucking done at that point. Fuck that shit. I'm not watching that.
I mean, it kind of sounds right up your alley, to be honest.
Bullet time arrows? Fuck off. No chance.
I watched the first couple episodes and I just couldn't get into it. And I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. So
I saw the 3 first back and finish it. The best show I've seen.
Again, I will have to watch it at some point.
You can tell they dumped an ass load of money in it. I mean, it looks great.
Didn't it cost them £1 billion or $1 billion to pick the rights up to it?
Probably. They paid $1 billion for the Exorcist rights.
Yeah, so, sure they paid $1 billion just for the rights.
But they got rights to everything. It's not just the show or whatever. It's movies. It's going to be a whole bunch of shit. It's not going to be just the show.
The whole IP. Yeah.
I just
want to say, I don't know how well the show's actually done. I never hear anybody talking about the show. I mean, The Last of Us just dropped. Goddamn, the internet's blowing up. I never really heard anybody talk about that show when it came out.
No,
and the show was nothing compared to the game. But Gizmo, you say you're having sound issues.
Yeah, it's lagging. I'm everything goes slower, or
Well,
like
it's holding up. You're looking. It's you're not lagging on the screen at least.
okay.
Yeah, it's looking good this end.
All right. Wild Wrangler said, watch Frankenstein movie instead of reading books. Failed in school. All right. Lee Wilson, what's going on, Lee? He says, even all nice to catch you guys on a live chat. We've just had In Search of Darkness Part 3 drop on Shudder here in the UK. A brilliant insight into the world of 80s horror. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Great series.
Yeah, I was trying to find those, but I can't find them.
I know they're on Shudder. You'll have to use a VPN to get it on Shudder, but they have physical releases as well. They're very good. I considered it, but they're less a documentary and more like there's this movie and this movie and this movie and then this movie and then this movie. It's not like a documentary. Like that Alien documentary is a documentary.
Yeah, they're deep dive, aren't they?
It's more like fan serial type thing, you know.
And they're churning that. Yeah. I mean, they're churning that stuff out. You know what I mean? From the company that does those, they've done 3 horror ones, 1 sci-fi one action one. They're now looking to do a fantasy one. I mean, they are spewing those out.
90s horror would be a good one to do. One of theirs on.
It would.
It's almost like a trailer show. You know those like the trailer compilations that we got. Like it's almost like that. You put it on, and you know.
6
well, it's a little different than that. You do get a lot of interviews
hours.
from all the people. I mean, you get a lot of great interviews on there.
Yeah, but they're
it might be just little fast little bursts.
Little sound,
yeah.
Well, they're interesting.
It is interesting. They're fun. Like I said, it's like nostalgia porn.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not sure what Dirk's saying here. You fucking Nazi.
Nazi.
Oh, Nazi. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't speak Cajun. I'm sorry, Dirk. I don't speak Cajun. I just sounded out Nazi. Okay. I sound like fucking motherfucker Brad Pitt. Killing Nazis. Wild Wrangler says, no offense to any Nazis that might be watching, by the way. Wild Wrangler says, I want to see Dark Heart of Jason Voorhees documentary. Fucking heard of that one, but I'm writing it down.
No, I've not.
I guess you motherfuckers don't want to watch me write, do you?
I mean, there are a few of the Jason docs out as well, aren't there? You know what I mean?
Several, yeah.
Yeah, they call it Jason, and
the movie Brad chose that one memory alien. What do you call it?
The origin of Alien.
Yeah. The same director who did the Shining documentary and also the Psycho documentary, The Shower.
58, 60, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
They're all good documentaries.
I forgot about that one. Damn it, I own that one. I got that one too. Damn, I forgot all about that one. Son of a bitch. We'll be back tomorrow. I got some more shit to watch. I'll be back.
Alan's screen's going to go dark. Alan's screen's going to go dark and it'll come right back. And my number 4 is...
Shit. There's just so many of them, man. It's hard to, they like a top 10 of something else. What are top 5?
Some of them are hidden on discs. Just like in with a release. It's like, oh, here's a fucking 90-minute documentary. By the way, we just pissed and threw it on there. We don't care about it.
All right. Anyone seen Roger Corman documentary? I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. That he's another interesting guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dirk says, old Adolf used to come on himself while he was giving his speeches, the ultimate narcissist.
He was a psychopath, not a narcissist.
He was on all the drugs too. That's a lot of people don't realize that Hitler was on all the fucking drugs.
All the drugs.
All the drugs. Anything that he could get, he was on it.
But he probably had a fun life.
This man committed mass genocide. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm sure he slept like a baby.
Somebody put him back in his cage.
There's Alan Crystal Lake Memories is highly rewatchable. Yeah.
It looks like
something like that. When I work from home every once in a while, I like throwing that on like in the background or something like that. Just some kind of background noises,
Yeah.
It's always fun to rewatch. Jamie Hart, what's going on, Jamie? Bada Bing, love that shirt. Appreciate it. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Big Sopranos fan. Benicio says, I've never seen the Jason doc. I don't know why I love that franchise. I gotta check it out ASAP. I mean, that's a good one. you get the physical copy, but they got it cheap on Vudu. I don't know if you're streaming anything, but
it's
Vudu
the
is
better
one
of, it's the better of the Jason documentaries. You know what I mean? It's probably
it's so in
definitive.
depth, man. It covers probably more shit than you ever need to know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Raymond says Ted White said that. Yeah, Ted White. Yeah, I'm showing my knowledge here. Yeah, Ted. Everybody knew it but me.
Now you get it.
All right. Jamie saying hello. Dirk says, imagine if Lynch would have done one of those Friday the 13th. Yeah.
Imagine.
They never would do it. Deep Dirk. Alex says, I've always been a fan of Corey Feldman. I love him in License to Drive. Yeah, I love License to Drive.
Yep.
The Lost Boys and the Goonies.
Yep.
I went to one of the concerts last year, and it made me so happy to see him happy and healthy. Yeah, I don't dislike Corey Feldman. I mean, I like all the 80s stuff. I mean, all these movies you just mentioned, I'm fans of. You know, it's just I don't really care nothing about his singing and all that stuff, whatever. But he was in some freaking classics back growing up back in the day.
The Miracle was alive, really. Life.
Yeah,
it was always fun. Both the Corys were a fun time back then.
License to Drive needs a Blu-ray.
Oh, License to Drive was a great movie, man. It holds up. It's still funny as hell now. You know,
I think License to Drive. License to Drive has got a Blu-ray on it.
It does.
It's called something else over there, I think.
Yeah.
Overseas, it's not called License to Drive.
Maybe I'm mixing that.
I think it's called Daddy's Cadillac or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's got. I'm sure it's got a Blu release.
Yeah. That's a fun movie, though. All right. Mrs. Voorhees would have been a lot more sinister.
And a bigger horror, too.
Dirk's agreeing. All right, Andy says Image Entertainment put them out.
Cool.
All right. Dungy Droopy. Pennywise, the story of it was worth the watch, particularly the debate over the spider. Tim Curry and Better Health too.
Oh yeah. Tim Curry actually speaks on it. It's good.
I saw it today. First time.
Yep. All right. Dirk says last doc I watched was on Gestapo's Last Orgy. Great one.
And before that, he watched the Beast in Heat Nazi exploitation documentary. So you can see what kind of kick he's on right now.
And he cosplayed through both of them.
Yeah.
All right. You said, speaking of Roger Corman, Doom, the untold story of Roger Corman's Fantastic Four has some wonderful insights.
Yeah. He's good to be interviewed for anything, really.
Yeah.
Brian,
he was supposed to do, he was actually approached first to do Alien. They brought it to Roger Corman first, and he said, there's not enough money. And then if you do get the money you need to do it, you're not going to want me to do it. So pass.
Brian says, weather wasn't the greatest tonight, so we stayed home. Yeah, they were supposed to be going to Disney Springs. Built a new shelf and are currently separating movies into category/boutique label stacks for reorganization. Nice, man. That's a job. Especially the collection you got.
Yeah.
That's going to be a job. Yeah, man. Weather sucks up here too, man. And me and Brian's about 5 hours apart from each other. We're both in Florida. And it's just been pouring rain. I hope my power don't go out.
That always makes me laugh. 5 hours apart, you're both in the same fucking state. 5 hours for me is one side.
He's only halfway. I'm in the north. He's in the center. There's another 5 hours past him.
There's another 5 hours down. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes fucking forever to drive through Florida, man, from top to bottom. It takes a while.
Holes and it's just a fucking nightmare. The state.
While running license drive is great. I agree. And hey to Brian. Alex says, Corey Feldman is definitely not the best singer, but he's charismatic and a great performer. He gave it all on stage and interacted with the audience a lot, which made the experience super fun. And I'm sure that was a good time. I know Brian did some filming when they went down to a convention and seen him perform. I watched some of the performance, whatever he did on Brian's channel. Brian filmed a lot of it.
I think it does help with him that he's batshit crazy. You know what I mean? It's I think that pushes him along nicely.
Yeah.
Mental illness, man, will keep you going.
Yeah.
That's Dirk.
Brent Mattis, what's going on, Brent? Picked up the Monster Collection documentary on Blu-ray from the Target. Buy one, get one 50% off.
Cool.
Nice. All right. Then you said, are you guys going to be watching RoboDoc when it eventually releases?
If that's a RoboCop documentary, you bet your ass.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know that was coming out, but yeah, I'll have to keep an eye on that one.
I will be sleeping with that documentary.
Yeah.
All right, we're moving on to our number 4.
Well, my number 4. We just need a couple more words on this title, but Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched, A History of Folk Horror is my number 4. This is a great documentary. It's a 7 release. You can also get this in that Severin Folk Horror Abortion set that they made, which is a joke. The fucking thing is a piece of shit. It doesn't even go in the box all the way. They fucking fall. I've heard people say that they've been falling apart. Has those sleeves where the discs go in, but you can get the best of that individually, like the Blood on Satan's Claw and Vi and some of the other ones have individual releases. But this is the best thing in that set, in my opinion. If you haven't seen this and you've got that bullshit set, grab this disc out and check it out. This is the definitive folk horror documentary. It's kind of an odd subgenre. It comes from the UK, but it kind of really took off when it got over here to the US. We kind of went crazy with it. But it's a 2021 documentary directed by Keir Janice. It's a Severin Films production. Their production company actually made it. It's 3 hours and 14 minutes. And it is absolutely packed with anything and everything you want to know about folk horror. It takes it all the way to modern day and modern day folk horror, which is kind of it's kind of a shotgun type phrase. It kind of covers a lot of different, subgenres, but we'll go into that. But it's been around forever. But generally speaking, they're about the occult or cults and any kind of demonic possessions, witchcraft with extreme isolation, the wilderness. The great ones, they have all those represented, throughout, but those are the textbook folk horror ones that have one or all those things. Most of those things is what really brings a good folk horror element. These folk horror kind of crosses over really well, I find, and the crossover ones is what really carry the genre forward. Again, origins in the UK originally, and now it's US mostly. But some examples of some unconventional folk horror I put down here. Pet Cemetery. People don't think about that as folk horror, but it's definitely folk horror with the Indian burial grounds and all that shit. Folk Tale, style shit. The Omen, Hereditary, Wicker Man, Midsummer, Children of the Corn. Another one people don't really realize that's 100% folk horror. Very popular. The Headhunter, which is a Shudder original, fantastic piece of folk horror. The Witch, obviously, that's like that's become an icon of folk horror, like the definition, kind of a resurgence in folk horror because of The Witch from 2009. Great movie, a great second sight release. The Ritual, yeah, The Headhunter, definitely check that one out. The Ritual, which is a Netflix production. Great folk horror. Wolf Creek, is considered folk horror. If you really think about it, the meteor and all that shit and the extreme isolation, it's a folk tale. It's a legend, even something like Candyman, with the story of the slave and all that shit, that's like I said, it's a broader genre than people think. TCM, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Shining, Deliverance, they all kind of, are crossover folk horror titles. Anyway, man, I'm not going to go into it like super in depth. It's awesome. It's almost 3.5 hours. This can be had for $12, $14. Hamilton Book has it. I believe you can stream this on Shudder. I'm not exactly sure on that, but I'm pretty sure you can. It's fantastic. Anything you ever wanted to know about folk horror, if you're not into folk horror, you're not familiar with folk horror, watch this and start. You'll get ideas of movies to watch. But anyway, man, I'm not going to gush about it. I really enjoyed it. I've watched it 2 or 3. I think I've watched it 3 times, and it's fucking 3 hours long. It's really, really good. And every time you watch it, like, you'll find some more stuff in there. Like, they talk about Vi, they talk about all sorts of, kind of under some gems in the folk horror world. So anyway, man, check this one out.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, UK-based folk horror, UK-based sort of folk tales that will go down that line. Very regional. So you can go to certain areas and you'll hear one story that you don't hear in my neck of the woods. I mean, the one around near me is all about the Pendle witches, who live on a hill, who come out in All Hallows Eve. That's dated back to the witch trials within the UK, where 500 women throughout the UK were burnt and tried as witches. That's something in history, you know what I mean? That's something that factually happened, and then stories relate off those. And like I said, the one near us is a story about the Pendle witches. You can go further down south and you can hear about the sort of the Wicker Man traditions. Again, I mean, based from a pagan festival, the whole thing of the Wicker Man was initially a thing. You know what I mean? It's something that happened.
That's the big thing about them. There's a kernel of truth, at least a kernel of truth in almost all of them. You even talk like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, for instance, not considered a folk horror, but really is. And a lot of those stories were blended to make, the folk stories, folktale stories were blended to make that movie. There were people that did things like that, and it came together. And then you have the isolation, the wilderness, and all that stuff. So, that's a great point that you made, that there is a kernel of truth to most of these.
Most of them. Yeah. It's where they sort of stem from or spin from. It's really good. It's really interesting things.
Yeah.
Right. Next up for me, I'm a massive nostalgia head. Everyone knows that. I love the 80s. Everyone knows that. I'm also big into the whole nostalgia look on renting VHS back in the day, buying VHS back in the day, and where all that started from. And there is one documentary out that hits it really well for you in the UK, and that is VHS Forever, Psychotronic People. If you've never seen this, it's 90 minutes of pure bliss. It is basically two guys who put the documentary together. We're going around talking to some of the UK's most prolific vintage VHS collectors. So we're talking pre-certification. So on all UK releases now, you'll see the certification at the bottom. It'll tell you what it's certified as. This one's 18. You get PGs and 12s and U's. Back in the day in the UK, we didn't have none of that. So the big chase is finding those VHS tapes that are pre-cert VHS tapes. And they're the ones that go for good money. But this documentary looks at the guys that were trying to buy this stuff back in the day. So it goes down the lines of the original 39 banned DPP films. It talks about guys who owned video stores back in the day, who was buying and selling and distributing this stuff. And it was a shady, seedy underground back in the day. You know what I mean? There was generally lots of sort of markets on at the time, where there'd be VHS traders and collectors that would bring out their wares. They'd be buying and trading within the community, but under the tables was the dodgy stuff, and it's the dodgy stuff that everyone wanted. And there was police raids and all kinds of stuff. And this documentary basically is 90 minutes of that. What it does do as well, it speaks to Lloyd Kaufman. Lloyd Kaufman's on this. Lloyd Kaufman sort of explains himself. Within the UK, there was a demand for film going straight to VHS, going straight to tape. We couldn't get enough of the damn stuff. So Trauma were just churning stuff out onto VHS just for the UK market at one particular time. Well, this speaks to guys who own shops in parts of Soho in London. It talks to guys who were collecting certain titles at that time. These guys still own those titles from the early 80s. You know what I mean? And this documentary was from 2021. And these guys are still holding the stuff that they got first time around. And most of it now is worth a fucking fortune if you can get your hands on it. But it just the whole documentary sort of goes round in a big circle, and it looks at why certain films were deemed to be sort of so expensive and so wanted, and it also looks at why the police wanted those films off the streets, and then it looks at them at a modern day aspect, and those films are just laughed at. You know what I mean?
Mild by comparison.
Yeah, by comparison, they are laughed out of the place. But this is a really good one. Again, it's only 90 minutes long. If you do buy a copy of this, you can buy it. You can get it from their own website. You can get it from eBay. But the guys who distribute this, who made this and distribute this, also do posters as well. And these guys have just bought the rights to Vipco. So if any of you horror guys out there remember the UK Vipco line, they put a lot of horror stuff out through the 80s, very early 90s. And it's a defunct label, or it was a defunct label sort of the mid-2000s, and it had done nothing in years. But these guys have picked the Vipco label up, and this is the first thing they put back out on it. So to sort of celebrate that, they also released 6 A3 posters with this as well. So if you do buy this, and it's at a reasonable price, I think it's like under a tenner, you get this and six posters as well, which is pretty cool. There's some sort of special feature stuff on here. So there's like we said before, 90 minutes of the actual documentary, and then they throw loads of other stuff. I would imagine it's stuff that got trimmed out of the final cut and they put back into this. And again, it's just filled full of anecdotes, stories of collectors, stories from guys who was within the scene at that time. But if you've never checked it out, try it. VHS Forever, Psychotronic People.
Yeah, I wrote it down, man. I'm gonna check that one out if I can get my hands on it.
Is it hard to get? Is it like
not really, mate? No. If you are struggling to find a copy, then I will email the guy and I'll buy a load and send you guys a copy each. It's, you know what I mean? It's really worth the pickup. You know what I mean? The time and sort of labor of love that you can see they put into it. It's fantastic, and they've done it off their own backs. It looks like it's all been funded by them. They've not made much money back on it. I mean, something like that's not going to sell in abundance, but it's just something nice to give back to the community, I suppose.
And it's also, the UK. When you put ratings back in the days and you trimmed the films and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of movies we also got in Norway. We trimmed them even a little bit more sometimes, but we had pretty similar releases in England and Norway back in the days.
Yeah. The whole pre-cert scene, even now, if you're into video collecting within the UK, the pre-certification copies of VHS, the prices of those have just gone through the roof, like really through the roof. It's unreal. And if you want one of those original pre-cert band 39. You're going to be shelling big money out. You know what I mean? It's, but each to their own, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's
a good one, man.
Yeah, I just want to show 2 titles first because this is kind of in a sub line of docs that I really are interested in. It's these are not the ones I picked, but I was about to pick this one, and then this one.
Oh, Hearts of Darkness. That's
a great one. Yeah.
And then I was between 2 films because I can't pick who's best of them. But I don't have one of them on physical, so I just took the other one then. It's the other one is Jodorowsky's Dune. I love that documentary. But this one was the one I went with, Lost in La Mancha. I think this is the best comedy ever made, and it's not made as a comedy at all. It's Terry Gilliam was supposed to make a movie back in the end of the 90s, I believe it was. I think the production was supposed to start in 2000, around that time, and everything went wrong before on the filming. I don't think they managed to start shooting before 2 years after they started pre-work, like where they went on location and stuff like that. And the most fun thing with this film is the location manager, because you feel sorry for him from the first time you see it. He's pushed by the studio and the director because they want to film someplace, but nobody has been there and looked at the area. And the thing is that he's got the job so late, and there is a storm going through the entire first month of this production. So nobody could go out there. So when they were supposed to start filming there, it's close by to like a not a hidden, but what you call in America like a area where they have military and flights and everything. So the sound guy is going mental on set. They never can take any sound because there is like planes going by all the time and stuff. And yeah, everything goes bad. And this was supposed to be Gilliam's like biggest work ever. The film, it was the movie's name he was supposed to make was The Man Who Killed Don Quixote or something like that.
Don Quixote.
Don Quixote. Yeah.
Okay.
Don Quixote.
Okay. And but the thing is that he didn't manage to film that thing. They were supposed to shoot it on 35, I believe it was. Maybe it was 70, but I think it was 35. And they had Johnny Depp. Who else was it? There was a lot of big names on this one. Yeah. But it's so fun from the beginning to the end. And it's probably even more fun for me who works with films because I can see every detail that goes wrong before it goes wrong. And when you hear people talk there, it's almost like they have never worked on a film before, but they are all professionals. So they were working on big Hollywood productions. But it's just because everything goes wrong. The weather is terrible. The location is terrible. The costume doesn't arrive in time. One of the actors are always really weird. And I highly recommend this film. It's I would put it probably higher than June when it comes to just quality of watching. But Jodorowsky's June is more about how amazing it could have been if he managed to do the production or the film.
Yeah.
It's probably 100,000 more things to say about this film. I have written down a lot here, but I don't want to spoil the ending because there is actually not a twist in this, but it's actually some kind of a light in the tunnel in the ending here.
Yeah.
But I can say that they actually finished the film in 2017 or 18 or something and released it, and it bombed at the box office. So it's been in production for almost 20 years. So it's so weird. But
yeah, and some of these documentaries take 50 years. Some of them take 10 years. Some of them take, it's funny how long some of them. I watched a documentary called Knuckle that it was 12 years in the making. They filmed for 12 years to do the documentary. I mean, it's just, it's just and you touched on this too, Gizmo, the spoiler. You really, a lot of these, you don't want to, if you know the ending, why watch the fucking documentary? Kind of like thing. So a lot of spoilers are really important with documentaries if they're about a character study.
I agree. The only thing I think probably I that translated wrong through my bad English is that this was supposed to be the behind the scene of Terry Gilliam's film. This is not Terry Gilliam who's made this film. This is the behind the scene of the film he was supposed to make, but everything went wrong. So the behind the scene crew made their own film. So this was a blockbuster, or not a blockbuster, but a hit, while the real movie that was supposed to be made was shit. So, and that's the movie that took 20 years to make. This movie they released in, I don't know, I think it's beginning of the 2000. I saw it in 2005 the first time, I believe, or 6.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing film. I recommend everybody to check this out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, sometimes the documentary is better than the fucking movie. Like, I know this is a hot take, but Hearts of Darkness is better than Apocalypse Now. That documentary on the making of the movie, I think, is better than the actual movie. So
I haven't seen the documentary. I've checked it out.
The documentary's killer, man. Martin Sheen has a fucking heart attack on set. I mean, it's crazy. He was all fucking drugged out and shit.
All right. I want to see this.
I'll move on to my number 4 here. I was worried this one was going to be a little too dark, but Gizmo's already talked about Hitler, so I think he's done set the bar. So I think I'm okay. Because as crazy as this sumbitch is, I'm fixing to talk about, he's not even getting up a fucking mole on Hitler's ass. Anyway, my number 4 is and this was on Netflix, I believe. It's Conversations with a Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes.
Yeah.
And I am very intrigued by Ted Bundy mainly, and I'll get more into that in just a moment. But mainly, some of the stuff he did happened 10 miles from where I live. I have memories of it as a young kid when all that shit happened. I remember seeing the news and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, we'll get into all that shit in just a minute. This documentary came out in 2019. Basically, what this is a guy named Stephen. I'm gonna say his name wrong. Probably it's Michaud, Michaud. He basically recorded over 100 hours of actual live recordings of Ted Bundy on death row. Ted Bundy kind of telling his side of things. And this documentary, what I like about this one, there's a ton of documentaries on Ted Bundy out there. What I like about this one is you get actual Ted Bundy talking about the shit instead of somebody doing a documentary and recreating stuff or whatever. There is some of that, but you get interviews with some of the survivors. You get interviews with the investigators on the scene back in the day. The most intriguing thing about this is the creepy factor of hearing Ted Bundy talk about this shit. He was a very intelligent guy. What's so damn intriguing about Ted Bundy is he's not like your average serial killer. Most of your serial killers, they look like serial killers. You dress up like clowns, big goofy looking guys. This guy was a well-adjusted, good-looking guy trying to be an attorney, trying to get into politics. He looked like anybody on the street. The guy next door. One guy said in the documentary, and this was like one of his best friends back in the day, that he was the kind of guy you'd want your sister to marry. That was his quote. And that's what made him so damn
better than the guy next door. Better than the guy next door. Like the captain of the football team. Like, that kind of guy.
Right. He wanted to be upper class, never quite got there. He was trying to be a lawyer, but his LSAT scores were shitty. And so he got into some like junior college law school out in Seattle, Washington. And after that, his girlfriend that he was dating was very high class. He wasn't making any money. And his girlfriend basically expected to take me out on a date, buy me the nice stuff. He couldn't do it, so their relationship fell apart. Shortly after that, he went into, or at least what we know, what he's admitted to. He's admitted to 30 murders, but people say that he could have been murdering people all the way back into his teens. There's probably a gazillion, there's probably a lot of other murders that we don't know about that he committed, but he's been convicted of 30 or admitted to 30 of them. This documentary came out 30 years after his execution. His first kill was his kills happened from 1974 to 78, the one that he's actually admitted to. Check my notes here. But basically, the way he did things, this was kind of his MO. Is he would, and you see this in other movies, they kind of pick up on it a lot. He acts like he's hurt. He's got a cast on. He's a guy that's kind of a weakling. Girls ain't threatened by. He gets them over for to help. He's lost these directions. He bangs them in the fucking head, throws them in the car, takes them somewhere, sexually assaults them. Does all kind of crazy shit. Everybody knows the story of Ted Bundy. He's a psychopath. The thing about this documentary is the recorded tapes is what I enjoyed about it. Just hearing him kind of talk, giving his side of things, whatever. It was very intriguing. Like Brad was saying earlier, what he likes about a documentary is it draws you in. This one really did that for me. And it's one that I just really enjoyed. But as far as the stuff in my hometown, Florida State University is 10 miles from my house. And two of these killings happened at a sorority house in Florida State back in 1970. I wrote down the year. 1978, January 15th, 1978. Lisa Levy and Margaret Bowman. He broke into their sorority house, whatever, and pretty much hit one girl upside the head with a log. And just it was just a bad story. It was a bad story. It was all over the news. I mean, I was only 8 years old when it happened, and I have memories of being on the news. It was a big deal around here, as you can imagine. Like I said, he was executed on January 24th, 1989. Don't ask me why, but I still have the newspaper clipping they put in the newspaper the day he was getting executed. And I used to work for a law firm. Little side story. I used to work for a law firm, and I was asked the law firm that I worked for. I was a runner. The law firm I worked for, they were one of the lawyers that was involved in the Bundy case with the Florida State stuff. And I was asked to go to one of our old storage sheds and destroy a lot of documents. Well, I see a box there that says Bundy on the side of it. I was 17 at the time, 18. I grabbed a whole handful of documents, kind of threw them in my truck, and I still have those in a storage bin in my storage shed. So they might be worth $1 million. I don't know, but I got a bunch of Bundy shit from that. This is actual, shit from the court case that from the Florida State killings. But anyway, Ted Bundy. I mean, serial killer documentaries. I'm a sucker for those. Ted Bundy more than most, just because it was so close to home. And if you hadn't checked this one out, there's a ton of Ted Bundy shit out there. But this is one of the better ones I've watched. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Those murder docs in general on Netflix are huge right now.
Yeah, there's a ton of them, and I think this is kind of a series. I think they have the same kind of thing with Jeffrey Dahmer. I think. I'm not sure who else.
Dahmer, all of them. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, a bunch.
Yeah.
The best thing with Ted Bundy doc is when he's saying why he did all that shit. It was because of the pornographic.
Yeah, the pornos made him do it.
He's so crazy, that dude. It's how we say it, like, I'm sad. It's the pornographic who made me do this. The work of the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. But I know where that sorority house is. The one that he attacked those girls in. It was I wrote it down.
That's after he escaped, Alan, isn't it?
Well, it's not important. It's not the Alpha Omega or whatever it is. Anyway, I know where the house is still there. The house still looks the same, obviously remodeled, but the houses are still there. It's pretty creepy to drive by there. You just think that these girls are just college girls, college students, going to sleep one night, not knowing this guy was going to break in your house. It's pretty fucking creepy.
But that was after he escaped, right, Alan?
He escaped, and he basically went to Atlanta, Georgia, got on a bus from Atlanta, Georgia to Tallahassee. And when he got to Tallahassee, his thoughts was, and this is him talking in this documentary, his thoughts was he was going to lead a straight life. Nobody would ever find him down there. The first job he goes to try to interview for, they asked him for identification or something. He couldn't produce it, so he didn't get the job, and he went straight into his old ways after that. Basically, he would go to grocery stores, steal wallets out of women's purses, go out with these girls and steal money from them. That's how he survived. And then he, of course, started going back into his killing again.
And he escaped 2 times.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. He escaped from prison one time, and he escaped from the library one time, or some place where they took him.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he jumped out the window.
It's fucking insane. How can you escape 2 times?
Yeah, he's and there's some really good movies out there. And this thing here just came out from, which I haven't watched it yet. I've probably seen it before. That just came out from Vinegar Syndrome. I'm excited to check this out. But
I think that's the best.
You guys can't watch my video on this shit. They put a fucking poster in here. What kind of sick fuck's gonna put a Ted Bundy poster on their wall? I mean,
This is where Alan.
I'm gonna get that framed and mounted on the fucking wall.
Alan pans over and the poster's hanging right over there.
Yeah,
I have space right here.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a perfect spot for it, man. Oh, let's catch up with chat. We still got 15 people hanging on. I commend you.
I will be single tomorrow if I put that poster on the wall.
All right, here's where we left off, I believe. Brian says, "Oh yeah, Corey Feldman can definitely bring it live. It is a sight to see, especially if you're a fan of him from any era." I bet it was, man. Brett says, I see Bride of Chucky.
Just imagine Garrett, Born to Be Rad, at the concert throwing dollar bills at the fucking stage.
Brent says, I see Bride of Chucky coming to 4K. Yeah, me and Brad were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, I love Bride of Chucky. That's my favorite in the series.
All right. Dirk says, some people call it mental illness, maybe for some, but for me, I just awake inside a dream of a beautiful nightmare.
He's stone sober.
His green tea sticking in. Wild Regular says a documentary called Blood, Boobs, and Beast by Trauma.
Alan will be right
now. I am. As soon as I get to the chat, somebody starts talking to me right now. I don't want to interrupt the chat again. Dirk says I need to check that one out, Tony. Yeah, I wrote that one down too, Tony. I'm trying to get
it's good. It's interesting.
Wall says, I own VHS Fantastic Dinosaurs of the movies early 1990s.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Any kind of movie documentary I'm into. Wall Reynolds says, before Jurassic Park. Cool. I like Lost Souls documentary. All right, so I'll check it out, Gizmo.
Check it out. It's really good.
Spooky's film documentary is better.
Yeah, I mean that That was a Vibco documentary as well as it was a Vibco release. That is a great documentary. The documentary is better than the film by a long shot. I mean, if anybody knows Spookies, it's a terrible film. It's a fucking awful film. You can't even call it a film. It's just bits of shit spliced together. It just
It's
doesn't
like
work.
a Hard Rock Zombies type thing where it's just nonsense. So it's fun. It's
but
just not.
The documentary is great.
Yeah,
But I think they swapped directors in the middle of the shoot of the.
They did.
Spookies.
They did,
So, yeah.
Yo, this is funny. While Wrangler put this at 7:16, before I just said my thing about the Ted Bundy poster, he's like, "Pops, you hung up your Ted Bundy poster?" Yeah, I'm showing that poster off doing the unboxing. I'm going, what kind of sick fuck's gonna hang this on the wall? Dirk says, I always heard Bundy's mama was his sister and he was a product of incest. If that's the case, was it really his fault?
Yes,
that's not true.
It's his fault. Even if it's true,
still his
it's
fault.
his fault.
It's the bad boy Bubby thing.
Bad boy Bundy.
Bad boy Bubby. Yeah.
All right, Jamie Hart says, of course, it's still his fault. Yeah, I agree. He had a choice and he chose to be bad.
Dirk's from the South. They're real sympathetic to inbreeding. So. Fucking look at Alan. That's not even funny, dude.
Dirk says, that's sick, Alan. Hit me later about those Bundy papers. Yeah, y'all see me putting that shit on eBay? If me at the fucking door. Dirk says, well, he had an incest brain, different logic.
Okay, this is descending into a certain. This is going too far.
I'm lost now. What are we talking about?
Dirk is saying that his
Bundy
sister
and
his mother are the same person. Not his mother pretending to be his sister.
Or his mom was pretending to be a sister. His grandmother pretended to be mom to both.
Yeah. I think Dirk thinks that his mom and his sister are the exact same person. I think that's what he thinks, but I don't think that's the case.
Well, Dirk's his own grandpa. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Y'all think about that one for a minute. Brent says, have you seen Killer's Delight from Vinegar Syndrome? Isn't that based on Bundy? It is. I didn't. It wasn't my favorite movie, but it was all right. I'll be nice. Dirk says, if the incest shit is true, I don't know. Yeah, Dirk does some deep thinking about that incest shit. I'll tell you as far as so he. Brian says, I already put the Ted Bundy poster on the wall. You're the sick fuck for not idolizing him.
Touche.
Yeah, it's right next to the zombie poster there in the back. It's a good place for it. Brett says, did you guys see Undead from VS Umbrella, Australian zombie movie? Fun watch.
I've seen it many times. It's really good.
I do have it. Yeah. I do have it there, but I have not watched it yet.
It's like
it's a great
production also.
Yeah. I love Umbrella stuff. I'm glad Umbrella is a partner label now. Excited about that.
You know, don't expect any just run-of-the-mill zombie film, though. It's far from it. It's it's Shaun of the Dead-esque, plus with like a load of sci-fi elements thrown in there as well. It's low budget, but done really well. And Anchor Bay put a release out of it years ago. It's really good.
Umbrella.
And the best part is that they put Crocodile Dundee in it too, so that's the funniest character.
It's great.
Dirk's laughing at Brad about something. All right, Dungy. Some excellent. I want to say his whole name because it's fun to say. Dungy Droopy. Am I saying that right? Dungy Droopy.
Droppy.
Some excellent selections, gents. One that is tricky to get a hold of is The Ghost of Peter Sellers, directed by Peter Medak of The Craze and Let Him Have It fame.
I'm familiar with
Ghost of Peter Sellers. I haven't heard of that one. There's Spookies makes perfect sense, Tony. All right, Deep Water, the story of Donald Crowhurst and his faking of sailing around the world is absolutely brilliant. The true story is far better than the two biopic films that almost came out back to back.
Yeah, there's a really good sailing documentary called Chasing Bubbles. If you haven't seen that, I believe it's on YouTube. It's about a guy who actually sails around the world. But yeah, I'm familiar with that Deepwater one.
Yeah.
All right, Jamie says, laugh out loud, it's all good. And Mom Blu-ray says, geez, what am I listening to? Yeah. We're probably just scratching the surface. We got a long way from being done. All right, we're going to get on with our round 3 before we offend anybody.
Well, I'm just happy to bring it back to some sort of, relevance of PC, humanity. My number 3 is Category 3, The Untold Story of Hong Kong Exploitation Cinema from 2018. It's on this release of The Untold Story. Come on, bitch. Yeah, you're probably not going to be able to see it, but, it mentions it very slightly in there. It is a 90-minute full-length documentary. It's fantastic. It's great. Whether you're in, it's like the folk horror documentary, but only 90 minutes. It's a lot shorter time span than the folk horror documentary. Folk horror is it goes back, to the beginning of cinema all the way to now. This was a short period of time. The Category 3 documentary. Anyway, 2018, directed by Callum Waddell, 1 hour and 24 minutes. The rise and fall of Hong Kong's notorious Category 3 cinema, which reached its peak during the years of 1988 to 1997. Category 3 is a rating system. It's a rating given by the Chinese censors. Cat 3 means 18 plus, basically our equivalent to NC-17. They're generally totally insane, perverse, disgusting, awesome. They're known for extreme gore, extreme nudity, cannibalism, unknowing cannibalism, and even animal cruelty. So if you're into those sorts of things, any one of those or all, Category 3 is where you're at. I'm not a fan of Asian cinema as a rule. Japanese movies are too weird. The Koreans are a bunch of soft ass bitches, always crying in their fucking movies. But the Hong Kong Category 3s during this 10-year period, especially the early to mid 90s, are unlike anything else that you will ever see. And you will never see shit like this again, frankly. In 98, some laws changed in China, making it unprofitable. They really cut way back on them. They still make them today, but on Cat 3s. But in the heyday of the early 90s, those are the ones to look for. That's when they got they had a real budget and they really went wild with them, and they're a lot of fun. The standout for this is the Anthony Wong stuff. Getting Anthony Wong, he's like eccentric to say the least. He's an icon in China, but they get Anthony Wong for the documentary. It's always great to get his input. He's like the Mickey Rourke mixed with like Nick Cage of China, essentially. He plays in a ton of Cat 3s. He stars in 2 of the best ones, Ebola Syndrome and The Untold Story. I mean, that's those are literally the Citizen Kane and Casablanca of Category 3. So those are the 2 to check out. And they mention them.
That's the way of putting it.
Prominently. Well, yeah, they both involve restaurants and stuff like that. So,
only Brad can put Citizen Kane and the Ebola Syndrome in the same fucking sentence.
Anyway, and him as an actor, it doesn't matter what's on that page. He's gonna fucking go for it 1,000%. Whatever's on that page, he's gonna do it. I mean, and if you've seen some of these movies, it's like, all right, suck the eyeball out of her head. It's like that. Cut the guy's head off for the card table. You know what I mean? Like, he is going for it 1,000%, and it's awesome, and he's great, and he still makes movies today. But he is. They still make Category 3 movies today, and they put him in it. That they're just not. They're a shadow of the former prominence that there was in the early 90s, early to mid 90s, late 80s, but really the early to mid 90s was kind of the heyday. But anyway, they love them. They respect them over there for good reason. Anyway, this documentary covers the whole era over 90 minutes. If you're not a fan of this movie, the documentary alone makes it worth buying. But this is probably the second best Category 3 It's probably the most famous, but I think it's the second best. But this release, great release from Unearthed Films, and it comes with a documentary. Pick it up, check it out. It's a good one.
Yeah, it is a good one. I have seen that one. Documentary
It's,
in the movie.
Yeah, isn't that one that everyone thinks that 88 is going to be releasing next
Yeah,
one down
88
for
Films,
the
I guess,
factory?
is putting this out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a 4K or what it is, but this is a great release. This Unearthed Films one with that documentary, and it's a great scan. I don't really understand why 88's doing it, but maybe they're doing a 4K upgrade. I don't know, but it'll be different artwork for sure.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure why they're doing it, but they definitely are doing it, because if you go to the BBFC listings for the year, that's the only Cat 3 title that's in there. So it's got to be them, and it's got to be that.
Yeah,
so it's
okay.
If
it's a cool release and has extras, I'll double dip. I recently double dipped on Ebola syndrome like a fucking idiot, but those are the two best by far. If you're going to see Cat 3s, those are the two to see. And then if you like those, you can find more.
I would imagine 88 will put something a little bit different on it as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I can't see it being a straight port.
There'll definitely be better artwork. There will be 88 does a really nice artwork and a big box and all that stuff. So who knows?
Yeah. Right, it's me again. We're going back to the VHS stuff again now, because I do truly love VHS in the VHS era. It's just so iconic and so nostalgic that I can't get enough. So this one is going to be a double showing, and it is the definitive guide of the Video Nasties Part 1, Part 2.
Hell yeah.
If you haven't seen these, if you don't own these, this is the best thing that you will ever see regarding to what happened with the Video Nasties inside the UK. I won't go on too much about this because there could be a possible live stream of this at some period of time. But all you need to know is everyone knows what went on in the early 80s within the UK, with the BBFC and the not being ratings on films. Films were slipping the net. Certain people, kids mainly, minors, were getting hold of films that they should never have been watching. And the whole Video Nasties list was launched. And within these two documentaries, I mean, these are documentaries. I mean, fuck me, these are like 14 hours long. You know what I mean? There's like three discs in each. They're just going forevermore. They're really insightful about every title that was put on those lists. They're insightful because the guys that they speak to within these are guys who were there at the time. They were guys who were dealing with this kind of thing, whether they were selling or it. They speak to some directors. They speak to some producers. Again, a lot of the films in Video Nasties weren't my cup of tea, are still not my cup of tea, but the whole ethos around it, the whole mystery behind it all, and considering it happened in the UK in my lifetime, it just has me chomping at the bit constantly. And I constantly go back to both of these. You can constantly get a nugget of information out of something that you might be pondering over. You'll try and Google it. You'll try and look at it about a specific film, a certain film. You're not quite sure. You stick it in, it's on the list. Boom, you've got something on there about it straight away. They work really well. They were put out fantastically within the UK. A company called Nucleus made these and put these out. I know in the US, I think Severin picked these up off Nucleus. Severin released both of them. Both can be picked up for reasonable kind of money. If you're into the whole video thing, if you're into the whole sort of the mysteries of the whole Video Nasties within the UK, these two editions, definitive editions, will put you on the straight and narrow about what happened, when it happened, and why it happened. Because there's so many sort of reasons why things happened, and then sort of stories get passed on like hearsay, and people think certain things happened, and this happened for this reason, and a lot of it didn't. It was just Chinese whispers. This tells you definitively about every title on that list and why it got banned. And they are great. They are really, really good. And there's more than just that on there as well. They talk about defunct video labels from back in the day that was turning this stuff out. They've got massive back catalogues of sort of like intros to those particular video companies and their intro music to the opening of their titles. They are a good watch. They're narrated well. The trailers are fantastic. Every original video trailer for the title we talk about is on here, as well as they are ram-jammed full of information, and they're a really, really good pickup.
Yeah.
So if anybody's into this kind of stuff and you've not seen this, then yeah. It's the exact same releases, just Severin picked both of them. And I think apart from one part on the special features, they are exactly the same. But I think the Severin release has got one thing missing on the special features on both discs. But apart from that, they're the same release. But like I say, if anybody's into this kind of stuff and you want to know more about the video nasties, these are definitely two that you need in your collection.
Yeah, Dirk is hyperventilating right now out there in the chat, I'm sure.
Stand like a dog. Wait for the Severin sale, Dirk, to buy those, because they go down to like $7 a piece.
Yeah,
right,
they go for nothing.
Like 30, during the Severin sale.
Yeah, that's a good pick, man. I still got to watch those. I've had them for over a year.
Yeah, it's easy to get through them. They're only 7 hours a piece, so it's quick.
Yeah,
it's a good watch.
But again, you can watch it like episodic. You know what I mean? You can watch it. You don't have to watch the entire thing. You can watch episode by episode, trailer by trailer. They're really good.
Yeah, that folk horror documentary, I'm sure nobody gives a fuck about. I think it's in 4 parts, so you can break it up. You can stop it, and instead of watching a fucking almost 3.5 hour documentary.
Yeah.
Okay, the next movie is a little bit hard for me to talk about because it's been so long since I saw it, but I saw it so many times when I was little, and it's Animals Are Beautiful People.
Okay.
It's from the same director who did, I think the English name for it is God Must Be Crazy. That's the Norwegian title, at least.
I thought you were going to say it's from the same director who did the Hitler documentary.
No, this one is from 73, I think it was. And he made, have you heard about God Must Be Crazy? Because he made kind of, today, these films could never be made. Because we look at them today, it's kind of racist in many ways. But this one was made for, I think this had like, when it was released in Norway, it was for like 7 years old and up. And it's purely like a normal National Geographic kind of animal program, if that makes sense. But they put like stories on the animals, so they are like people, if that makes sense. And it's so many fun sketches. It reminds me a little bit about Monty Python, but it's focusing on animals. But the main reason why I love it, because the last time I saw it, I was probably 22, 23, so almost 20 years ago. I still thought it was so amazing because they managed to capture so many of these things, and it's shot on 35 millimeters, so they didn't have many chances to film it also. They couldn't just put a camera there and capture it for days. This has been planned, and it's insane when you watch it, how they did it. I was actually planning, because back then when I was young, in the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, there was a lot of those kind of films that mixture between documentary and fiction. And you have probably heard about the movie The Bear, where they use 4 years, they follow a bear cub, I think. And that movie is my absolute favorite, but I think that's too much fiction in it, so you can't count it as a documentary. But this is a pure documentary, even though they go for the kind of sketches and stuff. But this is the best of all of them that I would say is a pure documentary. It's a shitty release. It's been, I think this is from 1999 or 2000 or something it was released. But I checked the DVD and it still works fine, so that's good. And I don't know if anybody released it on Blu-ray. I couldn't find anything about that. But I highly recommend this, and I recommend God Must Be Crazy as well. I bought them also on DVD because I couldn't find the Blu-ray for them. They are also insanely fun today, since you know they are kind of sketchy for the time period we're living in. So that just makes them more fun.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I've heard you mentioned it before, and eventually I'm going to get to that for sure. It's on
But
my
you
list.
haven't seen God Must Be Crazy either, or?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I haven't
remember
seen either title.
I believe
I think
that's what I'm thinking of. In the trailer, there's a kid that's throwing this Coke bottle in there, and he's coming down, hitting him in the head.
Yeah,
That's
there's a
something
Coke
with gravity
bottle
or
that
something like that.
falls
That
from
was
a
Gizmo
plane
on
in
the screen.
Africa, and the kid finds
Okay.
this Coke bottle, and then the story revolves.
That's in the trailer. I just remember that back in the day. I've never watched it. So.
Yeah, but it's really funny, and yeah.
All right, this one here may not be that exciting the most, but I'm a big fan of this movie, and this might be somewhat generic. You guys are picking some pretty obscure stuff, but I had to go with Pennywise, Story of It.
Cool.
I've had this for a little while. I just finally watched it. I really enjoyed the hell out of this documentary. I'm a big fan of the movie. I'm a big fan of Tim Curry, and just to see him on here doing it, he wasn't on there a bunch, but there was quite a bit with Tim Curry on there, and it was really cool seeing him talk about the makeup and how they kind of went back and forth. Their original idea of Pennywise, he didn't want to do all the makeup. He wanted to use his old face, and the director and everybody was so glad that they did, because he did such a great job with it. That was the most interesting part to me. But you could interview with all the cast back in the day. Stephen King's on here talking about some stuff. It's a really fun documentary. If you're a fan of the movie, you really need to check this out. Whatever it's anything you ever want to know about the movie. I learned a lot of stuff I didn't know, and I've seen this many times, the movie. And but the screenplay was originally done. I did not know this. The screenplay was originally started by Lawrence D. Cohen, and not Larry Cohen, but Lawrence D. Cohen. And he had done a lot of stuff, whatever, for Stephen King. He did the screenplay for Carrie, Tommy Knockers, Nightmares and Dreamscapes. But he was having some problems with the script. So Tommy Wallace, he directed it, actually took over the screenplay writing. They say after day one is what they called it. I guess, talking about the chapters of the story. But after day one, basically, Tommy Wallace took over the screenplay work or whatever. But you could interview some John Ritter, Harry Anderson, Seth Green, Richard Mauser, which I've always been a fan of, underrated actor. Annette O'Toole, Jonathan Brandis, Richard Thomas. I mean, everybody, Tim Curry, obviously. It's just a lot of fun. I just ate it up. And after watching it, it's like, how much can I really say about this on the stream? I mean, it is what it is. You get all the information you need to know about it.
Everything.
That's pretty much what it is. But I enjoyed the hell out of it. Yeah, it really is, man. It's a good looking release. But yeah, pick it up, guys, if you haven't seen it yet. You can get this real cheap on streaming. Also, if you want to watch it, I think you can get it for like $6.99 on Vudu. If you want to check it out before you buy it. Yeah, maybe on Shudder now as well, also. But this is pretty cheap too. This ain't bad. I don't remember what I paid for it. It wasn't terrible. But yeah,
12,
great
15,
release, a lot of
15.
fun. I just watched it 2 days ago for the first time, and I said, it's got to be in my top 5. I had a good time.
It's great. It's a great documentary.
Yeah, I watched it today for the first time.
Okay. So
I'm just glad they did it whenever they got the footage when Tim Curry was still,
Yeah, I'm a big Tim Curry fan, and it was cool. You could tell he was on the verge of not being able to do it. I mean, because he was obviously not in great health when he did this interview.
Yeah.
But just the what I really like about it the most, like I said, is that at first he was going to have pretty much a full makeup where you couldn't even tell it was Tim Curry, and he was pretty much like, it ain't gonna happen,
Yeah.
Because when he did the devil and what was it, Legend?
Legend.
He didn't want to do that again. He didn't want to do that again. And he said, "Look, I could make the faces. I could make this motherfucker scary." And thank God they did, because I mean his facial expressions and what he brings to the character, it's I don't know. It's just great.
When he's in that fucking storm saver and he goes, "Oh yes," I mean it's great. But yeah, Tim Curry was such a big deal back then. He had that kind of stroke. He was like the Andy Serkis of his day type thing, where it's like you can't do it without Tim Curry. So if he doesn't want to do a fucking headpiece, he's not doing one. So figure it out. It worked out well.
Yeah. He did some fantastic stuff in the day. You know what I mean? Clue was another good film of his. He did loads of good TV stuff. I mean, he did an adaptation of the Discworld books. I think he did play Ricewind. He played the other wizard. I can't think what his name was, but he was brilliant in that as well. He's a talented all-round guy.
Rocky Horror and Congo and Mr. Hamoka from Congo, stuffing his face with the fucking cake. It's just the dude was an icon. But I'll tell you one thing about Tim Curry: if there's a God and he exists, he hates two people: Michael J. Fox and Tim Curry. There's just nobody he hates more because they're all kinds of fucking crippled. Like Tim Curry is a shopping cart basically. He can't do shit, anymore.
Yeah,
and, it's really a shame because you'd think what he would be doing at his age now, if he still had his abilities, faculties about him.
Yeah,
it'd be some fun stuff.
Yeah,
like some fun roles. If he was still able-bodied.
Yeah.
He would be a perfect Hitler.
All right.
Speaking of that, Jamie Hart says, "Would it be in poor taste to say that my number 3 is the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia?"
Oh, Jesus Christ, Jamie!
Yeah,
that is unsubscribe. Unsubscribe to all of us. I mean, Jesus Christ!
Not as bad as it sounds. Whatever. If I remember correctly, I think I watched that once. Yeah, Brad told me about it.
The Whites. I would never.
The Whites in this case, where it sounds bad, but the Whites is the name of the family. Am I correct on that? The White.
They just happen to be white.
It doesn't sound. It just doesn't sound as bad. I mean, it's not as bad as it sounds.
Yes, but, it's totally in poor taste and un-PC. Like,
it's definitely it's a fun watch.
Check out October Country, Jamie. You'll like that one if you like the Whites. It takes place in upstate New York, not West Virginia. Same kind of thing.
Yeah, Jamie, if you're a fan of the Whites,
Jamie. It's really.
He's also a fan of the Whites.
Whites, the blondes, the blues.
All right, let's move along. Let's move along. All right, Gus, what's going on, Gus? Says, hey, Pops, and all y'all else, everybody else. Appreciate you being here, Gus. The Citizen Kane of Category 3 movies. You should say that on the box.
That's a subgenre.
Rusty Fork action. Hey, Gus. Hey, back. All right. Yeah, I'm mad about this one here. I got this thing ordered, and I was hoping it was going to be here in time to give it a shot. But yeah, Brent says the Fredheads, the documentary, comes out Tuesday, but Amazon hadn't shipped it yet. Yeah, I pre-ordered it. I'm waiting on mine.
Yeah. Never sleep.
I was hoping to watch it before the stream. Yeah. Dirk says Ebola syndrome. Don't that got gratuitous rape, fucking, and animal cruelty to some? Yes, sir.
There's only a small amount. Well, there's only a little bit of animal cruelty, but yes. Other than that, yes.
Yeah. Hell yeah, the video nasties. Dirk says the video nasties have for me become like Pokemon. Got to catch them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked the other day. I got a list of all the video nasties, and I got more than I thought I had. I still got a shitload of them to get, but I got quite a few of them. All right. Wild Ranger says yes. LOL. Tony, those cases are thick as hell. So I'll make your video nasty documentary there.
Yeah. They're a good case.
Each.
Yep.
All right. I own a book, Nightmare USA. Nightmare USA. I think Johnny's got that book. I think he showed it one time. One time on a past stream. What the fuck, Gizmo? That could have been about a barrage of things, so we don't know.
Yeah, it's about it. The whole thing.
Dirk says I'm still going to check it out though.
It's
Rainer says I saw Bear in theaters.
Nice.
All right. Would you consider Roar in the same vein as a doc? I know it's a film, but I really need that documentary.
Roar is great. Definitely
maybe.
Pick that up. I recommend that for everybody, but it's a narrative film that just fell apart, basically.
So
it was never in documentary realm.
But it's a perfect movie, but it's a movie far away from documentary.
It's a spectacle. Yeah. It's awesome to have. I'm very happy doing it. There's a good little documentary on that also, on all the films released.
All right. My wife is vacuuming in the other room, so go hear a vacuum. I apologize. What else she's doing?
Saturday night. Just having a great time.
The guys, I was like, what the hell is that? And I finally realized what it was. The
It's a
guys must
documentary
be
stream,
crazy.
Tom. It doesn't matter.
True. Ain't nobody watching anyway. Well, we got 22 people. The guys must be crazy. Played on repeat on HBO. All right. Wild Wrangler says, how heavy are the dumbbells you lift?
You're on the wrong stream, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
Nobody here exercises.
Ken Carlson said, hey, what's going on, Ken? Dirk says, yeah, that's a great doc. I highly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a good one, man. Really good.
All right. Jamie to Dirk says, the one about Tippi Hedren living with lions and tigers? Question mark.
I don't remember the. I don't remember. It was Melanie Griffith and her mom, and I think the guy she was married to.
It's the story.
It's fucking crazy.
All right. Ken says, not sure if you guys are interested, but Kino just announced the silent film The Trap with Lon Chaney. Never thought this would see a blue. It's great. I'm sure Dirk's interested.
Dirk's he's searching right now for it, probably.
Wild Wrangler says, I saw Tommy Knockers aired on TV. Yeah. I remember that one. It kind of bombed what came out. I enjoyed it, though. It was all right. All right, Gizmo. Okay. Thanks for being here, Gizmo. Good pick, Pops. I love the spider dick in it. All love to the spider dick.
See, we have him on the stream, so he's not in the chat.
and there's no getting around it. There's no getting around it. All right, Dirk says, Jamie has a very young Melanie Griffith. She got a scalp injury, among others.
She got half her head ripped off.
Yeah.
Fucking lion.
What's going on, Kal-El? Jamie says, I've seen it. Awesome movie.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's awesome. Yeah.
Wild Wrangler says, I love Clue. Yeah.
Clue's
is that Clue documentary on Vinegar Syndrome? Is it sold out yet? I know it was getting low.
It's sold out. It was only 500 copies, I think Brian was telling me. At least the slip. There may be a standard. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, it's sold out. As far as I'm concerned.
Don't have
Jamie, let's just be honest here. Let's not bullshit each other. Jamie Hart said, hey, the cow.
Let's not say things that are ridiculous, okay? It's fucking
yeah, I mean, everybody knows me by now. I'm not going to try to bullshit nobody. Wild Wrangler says, Congo 4K.
That'd be awesome. Kino, do it.
Yeah. Who's doing Congo 4K? I missed that one.
Nobody's doing it, but if he's asking if somebody's doing it. It'd be great if Kino did it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a Kino title.
Yep. The Diamond Baron, played by Jodon Baker. That was my hero when I was a kid.
And Bruce Campbell is opening that film, I think.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell gets his face ripped off in the beginning.
Yeah.
All right. Dungy says, Tim Curry's description of acting as voluntary schizophrenia and Pennywise really does sum up his acting style. Yeah. All right. I was making a joke because of the incest subject matter. I really don't love the Wives of West Virginia unless I'm really, really drunk. It's good for a laugh. Yeah, it's definitely good for a laugh. It's not watching a train wreck.
We don't joke about incest.
Jamie, unsubscribe to all my channels, all my fake channels, all the stuff that I do. Unsubscribe. That is distasteful.
Dirk says,
of course, Dirk knows about it.
Ahead of time. All right. Jessica White, I heard the butcher knife up to her neck. You better start frying my damn eggs better. That's what I remember from the documentary.
If you want to live,
the way you've been frying them, because I'm tired of eating slimy, sloppy eggs. I think we need to do a grammar check on that last message. There's a whole lot of grammar. He just said fuck a period. Fuck a period. I don't need no comments.
He's saying it. He's writing it as it was said.
I know. That's what makes it funny to me. I know.
Yeah.
He's typing the way it's said. Which
frying them eggs. Well, you want to live to see tomorrow, not tomorrow. Tomorrow.
I'm tired of eating them slimy, sloppy eggs.
I'm tired of eating them runny, slimy, sloppy eggs.
We just sold 30 copies of that release. Dirk says, "Hell yeah, Ken Chaney is unappreciated." I stole Jesco's glasses.
It's a good way to get shot.
Yeah. All right, we are caught up in the chat. We are moving right along to our number 2 here.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
I mean, Brad, you back up, buddy.
Yeah. You just mistake me for Dirk. How is that possible? My number 2, you can't make this up. I'm not kidding at all.
That's classic.
The Wild and Wonderful Life of West Virginia, 2009, directed by Julian Nitzberg, 1 hour, 28 minutes. This falls under what I call poverty porn.
Looks like snuff.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Movies like Sling Blade, The Florida Project, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Monsters Ball. This is even worse. This documentary follows the White family from Boone County, West Virginia, which is well south of Charleston, kind of near eastern Kentucky, where Dead Pit guys live. These people are unbelievable pieces of shit. That's the best way to describe it. Across the board, the entire family is just absolute white trash. Honestly, those are not even strong enough words. They're subhuman. Every single family member is a drugged out welfare baby. Utterly, all of them career low-level criminals with Gump-level IQs who have this weird fascination with tap dancing. Yes, tap dancing. Everything they do, every single scene is a fucking disgrace to humanity. All that being said, it's not only a great documentary, it's absolutely hilarious. You couldn't make up the shit you see in this documentary. I mean, everything from huffing gasoline to grinding up pills and sniffing them off the top of a toilet. I mean, CPS taking people's babies away, people going to prison for life. I mean, they're just a drug addicted, absolute trash family that's never worked a day in their life. One of the women named her name is Sue Bob White. That's my favorite character from this. She's definitely the funniest fucking character in this. She's not a funny person. She doesn't tell jokes. It's just her way that she talks and everything about it. Every time she's on screen, it's hilarious. At the opening, she describes herself as the sexy one in the family. She talks like fucking Nick Nolte. If he's like got the, if he had like lung cancer, that's how he would sound. Anyway, see this fucking movie. It's hilarious. It's tragic. It's haunting. It's poignant. It's a fucking riot. By the end, it becomes kind of a redemption story for one of the characters named Kirk, who's a woman. Her name is like Stephanie Renee White, and they call her Kirk. Anyway, it's awesome. It's one of a kind. They will never make another movie like this for good reason. I love it. I've seen it a million times. It's first class production. Also, it's made by Dick House. That's the Jackass guys after Jackass. So real first-rate production and a lot of fun. And it's actually pretty loaded with bonus features as well. There's a lot of shit in here. A lot of good stuff happening there. I'm not going to focus. Yeah.
Jamie said she talks like Nick Nolte's. Jamie said out my nose.
Yeah. And she's talking like her name is something else too. Her name is not Sue, and it sure as ain't Bob. But she goes, everybody calls me Sue Bob. I prefer to be called Sue Bob. You know, even though that's just a nickname, but whatever. Anyway, see the movie. That's all. Anthony, if you want to learn about America, Gizmo, you want to learn about America, watch those movies.
The sound is lagging here, Brad. So I just heard after you talk all that shit about the movie, it sounded like you said my dick got hard.
That's what I thought too. When he said it's got a great production, then you said Dick House. I thought you were saying never mind. What Gizmo just said.
Jesus Christ. Have you no shame?
But I
Great
really
pick,
need
Brad.
to check out that film. That sounds really
Buy this
interesting.
fucking
Yeah,
movie. Buy
it is a lot of fun.
It's great.
Is it on Blu-ray or just DVD?
This DVD. Yep.
Okay.
It's getting to 4K soon though.
I don't. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Right. Okay. I am a huge Ghostbusters fan. Ghostbusters is my favorite film franchise of all time and still is. I fucking love Ghostbusters.
Show off the tattoo. You got to show the tattoo. You're going to say that.
Go on then. Hold on.
People that haven't seen it, pretty impressive.
Cool.
Yeah, it's almost done.
So he ain't lying.
Almost. It's not finished yet. But so anyway, it's yeah. I love everything about Ghostbusters. I love both films. I love the real Ghostbusters cartoon show. I loved Afterlife when that came out. There's even bits of Ghostbusters 2016 that I enjoy, apart from the acting. The special effects of 2016 was fantastic. The film itself is a shit show, but it looks phenomenal. Everything to me, Ghostbusters, it stemmed from being a kid. It's followed me through my adult life. I absolutely love it. If you can see up the back of me here, I have a big fucking one sheet of Ghostbusters. I've got loads of other Ghostbusters paraphernalia. And if you've never seen Cleaning Up the Town, Remembering Ghostbusters, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, I will guarantee you this is the best documentary you will ever see on Ghostbusters. They speak to every single actor, every single person that worked on the production cast, every single person that worked behind the scenes on the special effects. They speak to absolutely everybody in this documentary. It's on for about 3.5 hours. It's a non-stop laugh ride. It tells you stuff that you know, stuff that you didn't know, how the whole premise of the films came about, how the initial 4 guys of this film were the original 4 guys that they wanted for the film. Originally, the film was based around 3 guys. It is extremely good. It's luckily been put out on Blu-ray, which is nice. I think if it had been on I think the DVD is probably on a couple of discs, but with this they can cram it all on one, and it's a really nice release. It can be picked up for relatively very little money now. It's not that expensive at all. It tells you everything that you need to know going forward as a Ghostbusters fan. There's a few Ghostbusters documentaries out there. There's some sort of like fan-based ones that they fronted together, but you can tell this one has had money thrown at it because it's got everybody on here. You know what I mean? From Ivan Reitman. The only person that doesn't appear on here for some reason is Bill Murray. They've got everybody except Bill Murray.
There's a reason. There's a reason. Yeah.
But as far as film documentaries go, this one is really good because it looks at everything. It looks at the way the script was written. It looks at the actors that were wanted at the time and the actors that they ended up with. It speaks to cast, crew, the special effects guys. If you're into special effects, the last half of this documentary is just the special effects guys and puppeteers that they used. Those guys were working on the fly. The stuff hadn't even been invented that this film wanted to do. So it was having to invent the actual the practical effect, as well as try and film it and then get it into the film. And everything sort of works. You know what I mean? Ghostbusters still holds up really well. So if you're a Ghostbusters fan, check out Cleaning Up the Town, Remembering the Ghostbusters. It's probably the best documentary you'll see on the Ghostbusters.
I got to check that out for sure.
That's awesome.
Bill Murray was not available because he's an unbelievable asshole in real life.
Yes, that's probably is the reason. You know what I mean? Everybody else was on there, and I mean everybody apart from Bill Murray.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, considering the whole film was based around him. The whole film was written for him, really.
When was it produced, the Ghostbuster doc? Just
2016, I think that one.
Oh, it's that new, yeah. Okay.
I think it's 2016.
Yeah. My turn. I had a film on this place up until today, because this is the movie I had in the on this place is a movie I loved since I was pretty young, but I changed it with a title that I don't think the documentary is well made at all, but I think the story in the documentary is one of the most important sports stories ever told. And for me, a documentary, the most important is not how good it's crafted or anything like that. It's more about how much the story mean to me. And it's Bispin.
Okay.
And the thing is that, as I said, I don't think the documentary is well made, but I think the story behind Michael Bispin is one of the best sports stories ever, because what he managed to do through his career is insane. I'm not talking about getting the belt in the UFC and stuff like that. Of course, it's part of it, but it's more about how he lost and then came back again. He lost one eye. He couldn't
He
see.
lost an eye and didn't tell anybody about it. He hid it from the world so he could continue to fight and win the belt. He won the belt after he lost his eye.
And that's insane.
In modern MMA, which is nuts.
Yeah. And it's also, you get to see, because what I always liked about fighters in MMA, or at least the UFC that I follow for years, is that I like when people have special what do you call it, like special traits, like you have the kickboxer. Yeah. But with Michael Bispin, it's more about he's good everywhere, but he's not like best in anything. But he has, but in the beginning of his career, he has. Is his stamina, it's called, when you can
endurance,
keep on.
Stamina,
And on top of that, he has the loudest mouth in the world, I think. He's worse than Muhammad Ali and Conor McGregor when it comes to
British.
Talking. Yeah. And so when he lost, I think that's the worst loss you could ever do, because he was he was saying everybody that everybody was pussies and he's the best, and then he got knocked out. And I
brutally knocked out. One of the biggest knockouts in history by an American named Dan Henderson. And not only did he get knocked out, he gets blasted on the way down. It's even worse than the punch that knocked him out.
When he
a
was
lot of people would have quit and never come back after that. That's how bad it was. A UFC 100.
But what this documentary also goes into is his backstory, where he grew up and stuff. And he came from a really hard area in I don't know which town in England. I don't remember
Liverpool,
that.
I think.
It's Liverpool, yeah. But I just love the story with this dude, and I think that everybody should check this out, even because this was the one I was really going for first, because this is a fucking great documentary. But the thing is that I even think this beats Muhammad Ali when it comes to, like, if you're going to make a feature film about one of these guys, I would say that this is the real Rocky story in many ways.
Yeah.
So I picked Bispin just because of the story of from real life, and I really suggest everybody to check it out. Even if you're not into MMA or UFC, it's a really good story.
It's incredible. If you saw that happen on screen, his career, you wouldn't believe it. You know, like if they made a movie and like you didn't know that it was a real person, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, he told this man from Brazil that Vitor Belfort, who's very, very religious, that there is no God. Right before they fought, and Vitor Belfort kicked him in the eyeball so hard he lost the eye. And then he became the champion after losing the eye years prior. That's how crazy he is and how tough he was. He's retired now.
And he is also the main reason why I got back to following MMA, because I lost track on that in the beginning of the 2000. But when I started up again, like in 2008, I believe it was, or something, he was the dude that I was following, like I was rooting for in every fight. And then I think he lost in 2009 and 2010, as you said, Brad, to Ben Henderson. And that was just like the downfall for me as well, because then I didn't have any really heroes in the UFC at that time period.
And they have a wonderful. His story is a great arc too, because I'm pretty sure it ends with the second he rematches Dan Henderson again, and towards the very end of his career, because Dan Henderson wouldn't give him a rematch for years. He said, "Why would I rematch? I knocked you out so fucking bad. You're still unconscious from it. Why in the fuck would I ever fight you again? It makes no sense." And then they end up fighting finally at the end of his career, and they have a great fight. And Anyway, I don't want to spoil
Yeah.
it. It's great. It's a great documentary. It's a great movie.
And they're also really good.
Unbelievable story. Unbelievable.
And also another fight in this one, without like going really deep into it. It's when he's fighting Anderson
Silva.
Silva, yeah. And it's he in many ways you think everybody thought that he lost that fight because of a knee, like because he was how you say, like
He gets knocked out in the middle of the fight. He gets knocked out by Anderson Silva and still finds a way to win.
Yeah.
That's how tough he is.
He's a really tough dude, yeah. You should check it out, Alan, if you haven't seen this one, because if you're into the Rocky
Well, as soon as
story,
you said the true Rocky story, I wrote it down.
yeah, you will love
He
it.
wrote it down and he underlined it 3 times when he heard Rocky.
Well, I've just learned something that guy's English. I didn't even know he was English.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the greatest.
Well, he abandoned your country almost immediately after he made a little money. He lives in Los Angeles now, but he's a tough bastard for sure.
Yeah.
Fight anybody, anytime kind of guy.
And he was the first British also to win the belt.
First and only Brit. Well, there's been one recently. Leon Edwards won a welterweight title, but he's the first ever, and for the 30 years that the organization has been around, first Brit to win the belt.
But just want to highlight one more time, because me and Brad has trained MMA and he's really into this. And for me, I followed this for many years. But even people who haven't followed UFC or anything like that, it's really important. This story, just you will love it. Yeah.
Trained,
I spelled it
competed.
wrong. I had to change my spelling.
Tense.
He held it up
We
against
talked 13 years ago, a long time ago. They don't even have a weight class for me anymore. So it's a long time ago.
All right. Yeah, good pick, Gizmo. Yeah, man, Gizmo, man, you're kind of on the same page. You picked Hitler. I picked Bundy. You picked a sports themed documentary. I'm fixing to pick a sports themed documentary. This is actually a docu-series. And this is one of my favorite things Netflix has ever put out. If you're not a fan of football, if you've never played football, this might bore you to tears. Fast forward past this. But it's a docu-series on Netflix called Last Chance U. This is a very, very, even if you're not really a big football guy, you can still appreciate this. The Last Chance U, basically what it does, it covers these different junior colleges. There's been 5 seasons. The first 2 seasons covers East Mississippi Community College. Seasons 3 and 4 covers Independence Community College in Independence, Kansas. And the season that I just watched recently is Laney College out in Oakland, California. Now, that being said, basically each season, it deep dives into the lives of these kids. And the kids that play football here at the junior college level, for the most part, most of these are like inner city type schools. And these are kids that either were like great talents in high school, they didn't have the grades, they got in trouble, they had family problems, they missed out on the rise getting into Division 1A schools, the Alabamas, the Florida States. And so their last chance, wanting to try to have a shot at the NFL or at least a college degree, is to go to these junior colleges, try to get their shit together, and try to move on to a Division 1 school. And this show, you really get to know. They usually highlight about 4 or 5 kids from the team, and you really get to know about their family, their history. It goes through each game of the season. You kind of see the outcome of every game. And by the end of the show, some of these kids don't make it. It means they don't continue to live. There's been some kids that passed away shortly after the show. At the end of each season, it does like a where are they now? And I know there was one, I really got attached to this kid. You really get to know this kid. And you found out that right after the show had aired, he got shot. But there's other stories where these kids just came from, there's no way this guy's going to have a chance. And he goes on to play in the NFL. And it's just really inspirational stories. I mean, it's one of those feel-good kind of documentaries. But I played football for 4 years. I got two of my sons play football all the way from 6th grade all the way through high school. And so we're a big football family. So this really hit home for me. And just to see some of these kids' stories and see some of the shit they had to fight through. I mean, this one guy had 2 kids by the time he was 19. And he's bringing his kids to the football field, put them on the sidelines while his wife works. And he's going to school, trying to survive and play football for this junior college team, trying to make it to the next level to make money for his family. And there's so many different stories like that. They're so just like crazy, the shit these guys go through just to play football, just to have a chance for a better life. And for some of them, this is their only outlet, the only way to do that. But if you guys haven't checked it out, if you are a fan of football or anything, y'all need to watch this. It's really a good documentary, a docu-series, really. But even if you're not a fan of football, it's still entertaining because the coaches say a lot of funny shit. You know, some of the coaches are pretty eccentric. I don't know. It's a good time. I had to put it on the list. I didn't even realize season 5 had come out, and I just finished season 5 right before the stream started. It's like 8 episodes, and just a really good time. But again, it's called Last Chance U. You can catch it on Netflix. So I didn't think that was going to be a very popular one for this crowd, but
I'm not interested
I'm a
in
big
football,
football
but I want
guy.
to watch that.
Man, it's really good, man. Like I said, they do a great job of covering these kids, you know, just for their school aspect, their family aspect, their backstories. And the first season that I watched, there was a quarterback here at Florida State University, my hometown. That's my college team. Basically, I remember seeing in the news this kid got cut. This guy was a talent. I mean, he was a great quarterback, and he got some legal trouble. I won't get into all that, whatever. But then I start watching the show, whatever. And this kid's on this damn show. He got a chance to play at East Mississippi Community College, a school nobody's ever heard of before, in this JUCO league, junior college league. And you know, and you got to see this guy's story. Not only did we see it in the local news, now I'm watching it on Netflix. The story on of how he kind of did things. Now he's not one of the ones that actually made anything. I do think he actually got transferred to a bigger school, but then he screwed up again. So there's a lot of that too. But it's just really neat to go back and see how some of these kids. There's one story: a guy made it to the NFL and he thrived. He played in the NFL for years. I think he's still playing in the NFL. And this kid, he should have been done with. You know, these coaches do a great job of getting these kids from square one to with nothing to being able to go to the NFL or at least get a college degree, go into a Division I school and get the 4-year degree. So it's entertaining. If you're a football fan, it's a must watch. You need to check it out.
But if you don't know shit about American football, can you still like get into that? Does it work?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, if you don't understand the game of football, I think it would probably give you some insight of it. You would appreciate it more at least, if nothing else. It's very entertaining, even if you're not a football fan, I think.
I don't even know the rules in American football, so I tried to watch one game, but I didn't understand shit. So
right. Yeah, it became popular in sort of like the mid to late 90s in the UK, and then fizzled out again. They used to show a lot on TV.
Really popular in the UK now. God damn. From what I understand, they sell out arenas in the UK now.
Yeah, when they play over there, man, they sell it like crazy. They play football.
Yeah, because they only play from one stadium, and that's normally Wembley. And everybody that's central London, so everybody will come from the UK. If you're into that kind of stuff, will travel from the UK just to that one stadium. Well, that's
what does Wembley hold? The stadium,
100,000, I think.
That's small for the NFL. You know, like the NFL is over here, they hold like crazy amounts of people. It's nuts. So it's insane the popularity of that game. I don't quite understand it, but
I've tried watching, and it's too stop and start for my liking. There's no fluidity to the game. It doesn't move. It doesn't flow.
Yeah,
I don't like
one
play, stop, one play, stop. It's not like watching football or rugby or anything like that.
Go to the fridge, get your beer, go back, stop, get a shot, go back. Like it's a drinking man's sport.
But still, it always worked in movies. Like Any Given Sunday is a really fun watch, and you really dig into them. And also the Keanu Reeves comedy film. What's that?
Replacements.
Yeah. I love that film. Yeah. Really fun movie.
Dude's eating boiled eggs. Got a bulk up, coach. This dude's a sumo wrestler.
You must be the craziest son of a bitch I've ever seen. To eat a fucking dozen eggs before a game.
Yeah,
that's out of your fucking mind.
You got the damn kicker smoking a cigarette. He's smoking a cigarette.
He's Welsh. I'm sorry, he's from Wales. The kicker's from Wales, and he's fucking drinking and smoking while he's on the field.
Let's play some football, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the favorite part of the movie is when the sumo wrestler scores a touchdown, and John Madden's like, "I'd love to see a fat guy score," because then you get the fat guy spike and the fat guy dance.
Yeah.
That's the dude from your favorite film, Brad, Notting Hill.
I don't even know where you get this shit. I've never even seen Notting Hill.
Yeah, me neither. I've been married 21 years. I've watched a lot of those movies, I promise. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off at here? All right, I think this is about it. I will show that again. Yeah, she spit soda out of her nose. The only comment. All right, Dungy says, so the white kids are called Bo and Derek. Jesus.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
And they said Brad has never sold a movie better than that white trash documentary. You know, it came from the heart. He talked straight from his heart. Didn't even take any notes on that one.
I'm from a very rural area of Southern Ohio, and I have seen some repugnant white trash before. I have never seen anything like that documentary. Never.
All right. Turk says we need more Jessica White releases.
There's 3 documentaries on Jessica White. I believe The Dancing Outlaw, Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, and then Jessica Goes to Hollywood or something. I think is the third one.
I heard Jessica has a new song out, "Fucking in a Muddy Ditch." Yeah, sounds like a top 10.
You know what it reminded me
Brad,
of? Like I was watching it recently, obviously for the stream, and I watched another documentary called Knuckle, which is about the travelers in the UK. Basically, what they are is Anthony illustrated. Anyway, my sister did the ancestry, and it came back that we are travelers, merchants from the UK. That's where we come from. And of course, I start looking into that, and he goes, "Yeah, fucking the travelers. That's the fucking gypsy trash, fucking pikey shit stains of society." So of course, I found a documentary called Knuckle, and it was like, it's like 50-year-old men in sweatpants fighting each other, like in front of a crowd of people. It's just like Snatch, you know, like it's real people. And it reminded me of the Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. So if you like the Wonderful Whites of West Virginia and you want the British version, it's called Knuckle.
I wonder if Fucking in the Muddy Ditch is on Apple Music. I'll download it. We'll have to use that for intro music for the next stream. Dungy said, is it Vigo from Ghostbusters 2 an absolute menace to society in real life?
Possibly, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yes. Vigo the Carpathian.
Dirk's, hell yeah, Bisping is the man. Never seen Bisping. I'm going to check that one out for sure. Wild Reynolds says, saw Ghostbusters 2 in theaters 1989. I was 5. Yeah, I graduated high school in 1989.
I was 13.
I was 2.
You young bitches. Dirk says, you see, Brad Bisping shouldn't have been talking that shit. Last Chance You sounds good. Yeah, man. Dirk, you're a football guy. I think you'd appreciate it, man. And the first was over there, your neck of the woods, East Mississippi Community College, whatever it was called. All notes. I love coach speeches. The stupider, the better. Yeah, I mean, there's a coach. Actually, the coaches in all the seasons are good. But I know that the season 1, nobody probably gives a shit about this, but season 1, the head coach was a total asshole. I mean, he says some pretty crazy shit. And after that season, he got in a lot of trouble. And when season 2 came out, he had to do like a formal apology, and he kind of calmed his shit down a little bit. He'd have outbursts where he went back to the old guy again. But you could tell he had to rein it in because he got in a lot of trouble after that first season. All right, Wild Wrangler says, never seen Last Chance You, Pops. Man, that's a good watch, man. Love Snatch. Yeah. I like Snatch a lot. Yeah, that can be taken out of context. Bisping wasn't the greatest, and my name is Lenny.
He's playing one actor in that. He's one of the actors in it.
Yeah.
4K Lowdown. I'm 1 year older than Alan, graduated in 1988. Nice, man. Jamie Hart. I was 16 in 1989. Yeah. Never mind. Let's move on. 4K Lowdown. And technically I was 17, but I was dating a 16-year-old in 1989. But I was 17 when I graduated, so that's legalish.
In Florida,
4K
it's legal. In Florida, it's at 100% legal.
What's going on, 4K? Dirk says, snatch equals face minus pink minus tears. All right.
I mean, to be fair, Brad Pitt does a really good job in Snatch.
Oh, yeah.
The whole
You got to watch that with subtitles.
The whole accent. They want to buy a dog. What's he trying to say? They want to buy a dog.
When you watch Knuckles, it's not optional to have subtitles, and they fucking speak English. You can't understand a word they're fucking saying. I mean, at all. But it's a good documentary. I've mentioned a couple times. It is good. It almost made my list, but I just love that the guy, they're fighting for like 30, 40 grand. I mean, the whole clan puts all their money together and they bet it on their guy to win the fight. And like the guy that they keep bringing back he's got like, he's bald. He's like probably 40. He's just going on every fight. He's like, I don't want to do this shit no more. And then the next month, somebody offers like this guy thinks he can beat you for 30. They're sending each other VHS tapes back and forth. And it's just VHS. You ain't shit, mate. You ain't shit. We fight, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, okay, we'll fight it again. And the 30,000 just keeps going back and forth. And I don't know. It's just it's interesting. The knuckle. You learn about other people's cultures. And I'm just going, that's all of the UK. They all live in campers over there, fucking living in the countryside, They don't have jobs.
All right. We will move on to our number one here.
Oh, my number one.
What you got, Brett?
If anybody's known me at all, it is I love this movie. I recommend it to everybody. It's incredible. It's from 2002. Directed by John Hymas. It's an hour and 33 minutes. Hymes. It's called The Smashing Machine. It is a documentary on this gentleman here. His name is Mark Kerr. Mark the Smashing Machine Kerr. You don't get a nickname like that by accident. He was a very successful amateur wrestler, Olympic level on the Olympic level, decorated in both wrestling and submission-only tournaments. He won the Abu Dhabi tournaments over in Abu Dhabi, which is the most prestigious grappling tournament in the world. I think he won it 3 times in a row. Anyway, he won the most prestigious grappling tournaments in the world in the late 90s, basically. Eventually, he decides to go into MMA, mixed martial arts. At the time, it was called No Holds Barred, Vale Tudo, whatever. Eventually turns to fighting, and he fights a tournament in Brazil, smashes all 4 guys quickly, and then he goes to the UFC. He's a 3-time tournament winner, 3-time UFC tournament winner, and then he eventually goes over to Japan and fights in the Pride Fighting Championship, where he basically, that's where his career was. It's Vale Tudo, no rules, no holds barred, combat sports, whatever you want to call it. The mouth breathers would call it UFC fighting. Anyway, the movie picks up when he's literally at the top of his game. He's 11-0, all brutal stoppages. It was 2 UFC tournaments, not 3. And he's he goes to Pride Fighting Championship, has a couple fights, and then he enters the biggest MMA tournament in history. 16-man single elimination tournament. It's like the Kumite, basically, all sorts of styles. And they threw in some like pro wrestlers too into the brackets. It's just a wild tournament, big money tournament. And an old friend of his and training partner is named Mark Coleman is also entered in the tournament. So that dynamic is also played out in it. But it's open weight. So anybody that, the best fighters in the world they brought in, generally over 200 pounds, but still, Mark Kerr was one of them that they brought in. At the time, he was pound for pound number 1. He was best fighter on the planet. And it wasn't even close. This is the guy, I'll briefly talk about this. I used to compete in combat sports years ago. This was the guy that I watched and went, there's no way I'm fighting at heavyweight. Because I don't know how you beat this fucking guy. He's like a bulldozer to fight him. He's 6'3", 260 pounds, solid muscle. Yeah, there's no way he's making 200 pounds. So I just stay out of that bracket. Anyway, describing Kerr, you'd think he's this mindless ape ripping people apart, like he does. But he's really not that at all. He's doing this all because he's got the skills to do it, and this is the best way he found to make money. He just needed to make some money, and he's very soft spoken, articulate, and almost sensitive. If you ever wondered, what it's like to make that walk and to fight, professionally or otherwise, I've never seen it explained better. I've never seen it, documented better. All the shit you go through, the training, and the thoughts going through your head before, during, and after the fight, it's all beautifully put in this. Anyway, as the story evolves, it becomes more about the friendship between Kerr and Coleman, and who were both entered in the same huge money tournament. Big money for back then. I think it was $200,000 first prize. This is the dark ages of MMA, late '90s, early 2000s, where MMA wasn't what it is today. Some fighters make multiple millions per fight now. Back then, 200,000 was like crazy money. You'd be lucky to get 500 for a fight. So anyway, their dynamic, the relationship, both in this tournament, that all plays out. Just imagine being in a combat sports tournament with one of your best friends on the other side of the bracket, and eventually you might face each other. I mean, that becomes pretty high drama, but it's a rise and fall and basically redemption type story. It's dark, it's inspiring, it's inspirational, it's great. People say stupid things like movies change your life or whatever. This movie did have an impact on my life. I was already a monster MMA fan when I saw this movie. I'd seen Mark Kerr fight before this happened, and he's very relatable, and it's the definitive MMA documentary. If you have never seen it, definitely pick it up. It's only a DVD, but HBO sold the documentary recently. They have a relationship with Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson said part of the deal, if you want me to come back for that dumb show he fucking did, you got to sell me the rights. You got to sell me the documentary. And he bought the documentary. He hired Mark Kerr. They're adapting a screenplay, and Dwayne Johnson's going to play Mark Kerr. So that's going to be an awesome thing. So anyway, if one thing you've picked up from these 5 that I picked out, this is the one by far. It's not even close. Check this one out.
So Brad, a little bit of history trivia, but you know that you said that was that fight was over in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Well, you know that the most people over in the United Arab Emirates countries don't like the Flintstones, but the Abu Dhabi do. Abu Dhabi do. You get it?
Oh, Jesus.
When you said Abu Dhabi, I just heard that fucking joke on fucking TikTok. Cut me a break. I had to look. I had to Google where the fuck Abu Dhabi was, and it says the United Arab Emirates. So that's gonna be terrible in a joke. But
yeah, they love grappling over there, and they paid big money, like $30,000 to win that tournament. So yeah, he won it 3 times in a row. He could have won it 20 times in a row. It's the best grappler I've ever seen, best fighter I've ever seen, most unstoppable fighter I've ever seen. When you're somebody like that, the only person who can beat you is yourself. And anyway, it's all explored in that. It's very dark. It goes in strange places. It goes different directions. It's a great documentary. It's haunting. Got to see it.
We talked about.
I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. I'm sure you could probably stream it illegally. It might be on YouTube. I don't know, but the DVD is still available.
I got that one in Biscuit I need to watch.
Yeah.
We talked about him before, Brad, and I didn't remember who he was. But when I looked him up, I remember one fight they did with Igor Vovchankin, and that's one of the most bloodiest fights I ever seen.
Igor Vovchankin, him were like 1 and 2 at the time. They were like the top of the sport at the time. Igor Vovchankin is like 5'8", 240, just made of bricks from Ukraine. Yeah. And he's got like 80 fights, something like this. And Mark Kerr fought him when he had like 10 fights, something like that. So but it's just crazy.
It's a brutal fight. That's what I was saying. It looks so nasty.
You don't want this spoiled for you. You don't want to Google Mark Kerr or anything like that. You want to watch the documentary, go in blind, with no spoilers. It's better, even if you know nothing about MMA, it's a great documentary. It really is.
Yeah. I will check it out.
Cool. Yeah.
Nice one.
Okay.
Right,
so my number one. Again, viewers of my stuff on my channel will know that I'm a big fantasy fan. That's the genre of film that I love the most. And this guy was probably the guy that got me into this genre of film, because his work is truly amazing. It's untouchable. Even to this day, I don't think no one can even get on par with what this guy did. And it is Ray Harryhausen, special effects titan. If you haven't seen this documentary, well, first of all, you'll have to know who Ray Harryhausen is. Now, I've put a load of titles together of Ray Harryhausen films, and the really weird thing about Ray Harryhausen is he was just a special effects guy. But every film that came out where Ray Harryhausen had done the special effects for, that film was remembered for Ray and not remembered for the actor or the director. So you can ask multiple people who directed and starred in Mysterious Island. No one fucking knows, but everyone knows that Ray Harryhausen did the special effects for it. Same with Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. Fucking amazing film, great film from our childhoods. Everyone knows this is a Ray Harryhausen film. No one knows who directed it. No one knows who the star was. No one remembers. Golden Voyage of Sinbad is another Ray Harryhausen film. The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad is another Ray Harryhausen film. Clash of the Titans. Everyone remembers Clash of the Titans. This was one of the last things. This was one of the last films that he made before he retired in 1982. And everyone knows this one. Jason and the Argonauts. You know what I mean? These films are timeless classics. And no one remembers for who the actor was or who directed the film. They only remember it because of Ray Harryhausen's visual effects and special effects and the way he did things. And I can't tell you another film that was remembered, or even to this day, it's remembered just for the guy who did the special effects and not the person that acted in it and not the person that directed it. No one knows who does the special effects anymore. No one can remember anybody's names. No one knows the teams who done it. There's that many people. But in every Ray Harryhausen film, there was just Ray Harryhausen that did those special effects. And the special effects he did were phenomenal. Considering for the time was all stop motion animation, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing what the guy achieved. Amazing. And when you sort of look at his background, I think his father was British, his mother was American. He spent a lot of time in America at a younger age, then moved back to the UK.
You're telling me that guy in the middle is British? Come on.
Yeah.
You telling me that's a British guy? Come on now. Don't be ridiculous. Looks like the fucking Prince Harry or whatever the fuck his name is.
But on this 2-disc documentary, this was put out by Arrow Video in 2013. I think there may be a Blu-ray by Umbrella. But this is a 2-disc. It's on for about 4.5 hours. It speaks to everybody in the industry. It speaks to Joe Dante's on here. John Landis is on here. Steven Spielberg and all those guys come to the same conclusion: is without Ray Harryhausen's work, there would be no modern special effects as we know it. Everything that we know within the special effects of arenas of films came from Ray Harryhausen. Even to the fact when Spielberg had developed the way that the dinosaurs were going to look in Jurassic Park, and it was all going to be CG, and it was all done on computers, they still brought Ray Harryhausen in to ask him for advice on whether those dinosaurs looked like they were moving in the correct way. And the fucking guy was a puppeteer, basically. That's what he was. But in his early days, he made all the puppets himself. His father made all the wire work. His mother made all the clothing for the puppets. And he shot them in an amazing way. Now I've been lucky, and I've been privy to see the Ray Harryhausen exhibition. I went to look at it a couple of years back. It's in the Modern Museum at Edinburgh currently, and it's an amazing feat of work that they put together, sort of like 10,000 pieces that was in the Harryhausen Foundation, from artwork he'd done to the actual armatures that he'd made to the models he'd made. Even wrote the fucking scores to the music as well, because he couldn't find a musician good enough to do it, so he just fucking did it himself. So this guy did virtually everything apart from act. And when directors were brought on set and Ray was here on set with them, the directors were confused by it. They didn't know why a visual special effects guy was on set. But then when they watched him, what he was actually doing, it made perfect sense. And if you've watched any of Ray Harryhausen's films, again, you don't remember it for the actors. You remember it for the creatures that were within those films, whether that be Beebo, like you've mentioned, the owl, whether that's the Cyclops over here, whether that's the Hydra with the 5 heads. You know what I mean? Everyone remembers those characters from those films, and everyone remembers Ray Harryhausen for that. They don't remember the directors and they don't remember the actors. And there's not another film being made where that's the case now. You know what I mean? The guy lived a full life. I think he was about 95 when he actually died, and was still doing stuff. Even though he'd retired in 82, he was still being used in the industry as the go-to guy to ask if this was the correct way to do things. Yeah, which is amazing. Considering the leap to CGI that was made in the late 90s, early 2000s, and this guy had been messing around with fucking like latex and plasticine for like 30 years. You know what I mean? But the way he made things move on camera was never matched. You know what I mean? The guy was literally a genius at what he did, but really sort of mild-mannered and laid back with it as well. So if anybody that's a fan of those kind of films that I've showed you, and you know Ray Harryhausen's work, then this is the definitive guide, the definitive documentary about those films and about his life.
That sounds interesting for sure.
Nice, man.
It's a great watch. It really is. And those films have stuck with me. You know what I mean? Some of those films are from the 50s. Some of those films are from the early 70s. And they've still stuck with me over time. They were staples of TV watching when I was a kid. It was riveting to watch stuff like that. And even now, you know what I mean? The Blu-ray release on those, I mean, I think it was, who put those out? Eureka? Or Indicator. Indicator released those. 2K scans of the original 35mm. They look phenomenal. And with sort of stop motion animation being pushed from a sort of analog thing where it was taken from a camera, and it was like 30 seconds of footage, might take you like 6 months to get. It's mind-blowing to see these things on Blu-ray now from a 35mm at 60 frames a second, because stuff's slightly speeded up and slightly more clearer to look at. It just looks amazing. It looks even better. You know what I mean? It's so if you're into anything like that, then it's definitely a documentary to check out.
Yeah, in the beginning of the 90s, there was a shop called Melody Line in Sweden where I used to order films from. And they had 2 sections with special effects stuff. And it was Ray Harryhausen and you had Jim Henson.
Yeah.
Like the studio Jim Henson. And I remember those so well because I wanted all of those films when I was little, but you never had the money enough, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
See, my collection sat behind me is still full of films from them. You know what I mean? From the Henson Workshop, from Ray Harryhausen. I love that shit. You know what I mean? That shit means everything to me. Yeah.
I have the Indicator box
Awesome,
set with, I think, with Ray. I haven't digged into it yet.
Yeah, it's an expensive box set to get that. No, that's out of print. That's a really, really expensive set.
The one I have. The Indicator.
Yeah, he probably pre-ordered it, Gizmo. So
yeah, I ordered it back in the days when it was released.
Yeah.
I haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, it's a really expensive set to buy now, that.
That's cool. So I'm rich without knowing it.
Yeah.
Well, the next film is actually a film I never thought was going to hit the list, but I actually recommended it to Brad some weeks ago, I think it is, and I rewatched it also today. I rewatched this and the It documentary. The It I hadn't seen before, but anyway, this one I need to take off my paper here to check because I don't want to spoil this film. It's so important to not spoil it, but it's Dear Zachary, letter to his son about his father.
Yeah.
That's a great documentary.
This documentary, if you don't feel sad after you watch this, then I think you need to go to the electric chair. It's I was ruined the first time I saw it, and it was really hard the second time.
I thought it was a comedy.
Well, what I can say about it without spoiling it, I don't dare to talk about the storyline here that much, but I could give some hints just so. I would say it's about abusement, if that's the right word to use, and about how fucked up the law system can be.
In Canada,
Yeah,
in Canada.
in Canada, yeah. But what I do love about this film is that the first time I saw it, not today, but the first time I saw it, I was shocked because I was wondering, why the fuck do people think this is a good film, like the first 20 minutes? Because they have only used...
I'll interrupt you. Dirk got 11 minutes in.
Yeah, right.
Said, what the fuck is this? And Dirk
I was struggling through the first 20 minutes of this film. I was really struggling. But then the story starts to pick up. And it's really important because I never seen a movie made like this before or after. It's only used like shot on video or digital files from private archive from the director who made it and his friend that the movie begins with. And that's what makes the entire film when you first get into it. And it's so gripping. Is that the right word? It's like... And it's a heavy film that lasts weeks after you have seen it. At least for me, I was thinking about the film many weeks later and was really tormented how fucked up the system can be. And the weird thing about the system, I will not go into that either because then I spoil some other stuff. But if you think about it, the system is kind of doing it that way because they think it's a good way to do it in general. But when you look at this case, and you know it's many more cases like this, and we have similar stuff in Norway. It's so damn it hurts my soul just to think about it. Yeah, but we have similar in Norway, so we are also fucked.
Well, yeah. Well, I just imagine living next to those people and being us. Like I said, it's fucking bizarre, but it's a great documentary. There's an oscilloscope release. You can get it on Amazon, I think, for $20, Blu-ray. Really nice release. It's in my whatever the hell they call it.
I only have this DVD that's part Russian, part English. But it's a movie.
It's gripping and it's really fast. It's a really fast moving documentary. Really keeps you enthralled through it.
I haven't seen this. Watch it. It's and Dirk, push yourself through the first 20 minutes of this film, and then you will never forget it.
I think he thought it was some kind of homophobic, homosexual type thing. I think he thought it was something like that because everybody's so like overly talking about how nice the guy was. You know, when he, is an awkward kind of guy. I don't know what the fuck he thought, but he didn't get very far into it before he turned it off.
Okay. Well, I struggled too in the beginning.
But you can't talk much about it because the spoilers. I mean, you don't want to know. You want to go into it blind. And just get weighed into it.
And it's also so sad that when you have watched the film, you still feel like you feel after the first 20 minutes that you just want to kill somebody.
Like, I mean, it's already sad, but the ending is even more sad. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's kind of like a double whammy. It's rough.
Yeah, it's
tragedy.
So sad.
It's tragedy porn.
Yeah.
Fucking Tony's like, man, I'm never watching this.
All right.
I have never even heard of it before.
Guys, this is probably I know it is. This is my favorite documentary of all times. I know that Brad said earlier that this wasn't really a documentary. I looked it up on IMDb and it says documentary horror, and that is In Search of Darkness. Cool. I'm gonna put 1 and 2 in the same pick because it's the same shit. And I got part 3 pre-ordered. I even pre-ordered the fucking box set.
Yeah.
If you get 3, I pre-ordered that box set, you're gonna be able to put all these in a box set. Pretty excited about that. But I'm an '80s horror kid. That's what I started falling in love with horror movies. And pretty much every movie that they got on here, and well, that's not true. There's a lot that I haven't seen. I've got a lot of good recommendations from watching this. But a majority of the movies I watched back in the day, the video store days, they cover in here, interview the cast. I'm not going to list people that are on this fucking thing because anybody that's ever done anything with fucking horror is on these. To speak of, you got the actors from the movies, you got the directors, you got the critics. I mean, it's just like Brad said, it's very fast. Whatever, as far as there's only like little excerpts about different things. It's almost like the trailer video, which I agree with that. But it throws in little nuggets about every one. And I like it because this is something else I can throw on in the background. This fucking thing is like 6 hours long. This first one is 220 minutes. 220 minutes. This other one's 260 minutes. Or is that 300? Yeah, anyway, it's long as hell. But it's something good thrown in the background. Very entertaining. I've watched both of these twice. Like I said, just putting them on the background and letting it play. You know, I sit there and watch it for a few minutes while I'm working or whatever. Super excited about 3 coming out. I don't know when that's coming out. It's got to be soon.
It's out. It's out.
Yeah.
You can watch.
Okay, I guess I just haven't got mine yet. I pre-ordered it. But yeah, I mean, what can I say about this? Y'all know what it is. This isn't dark. This isn't deep. This is just a really enjoyable fucking documentary, and this is right up my alley here. This is my speed. So it had to be my number one. You know, I had another one we'll talk about if we do an honorable mention. That's a little bit, you know, maybe more entertaining to talk about, but we'll cover that later. But that's my number one.
Oh, cool.
Don't really need to say much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, they are really enjoyable. They're really well put together. You know what I mean?
I love them. I love them.
You can tell it's done with a budget. You know what I mean? They're really entertaining. The guys that do those, all the other ones that they've done previously have been exceptionally good. The In Search of Tomorrow, the sci-fi one, In Search of the Last Action Hero, about the 80s and early 90s hero stuff, action film stuff is really good. And like I said,
and maybe it's my simple mind, but the way they but the way they do it, you know, when they go to start talking about the next title, anybody that's watched it knows what I'm talking about. When it spans across all the different images, the poster images of all the movies, and you're going, oh shit, talk about that one. Then it lands on this movie, and it's like it's kind of like a Russian roulette. I love the way they do it. It's just very, for me, the way I think, it's perfect. I could watch it over and over again.
Yeah, they are very, very good. You know what I mean? I think they've got other things in mind to do as well. And I know that I backed one of the things that they're doing, which is In Search of Fantasy, which they're doing a whole one about fantasy films, which will be really good. I sort of backed that right from the beginning.
And they got another one about sci-fi. It's In Search of Something. I got that one as well.
In Search of Tomorrow.
In Search of Tomorrow.
I haven't watched that one yet. So got to watch.
I hate those films because I can't get hold of them. I can't see them anymore.
The Johnny's got a poster from In Search of Tomorrow. I sent him. Next time he sends something over to you, he'll throw it in a box for you. But yeah, they're doing a '90s horror, I think, documentary series too, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm
gonna grab whatever they do, man. They're fun.
I have those as well. I like them, but like I said, it's like nostalgia porn, you know.
But do they do other films, or is it just that series? It's like a distribution company or production company, or what is it?
It's two British guys that do the main sort of front running for it, but then everything's put together in the US.
Yeah, they have it's got a whole company name. I don't remember what the company name is, but they make a lot of money.
Creator something.
Creator VC.
Yeah, that's the one.
Where do you buy them from, Tony?
I can't get physical releases, but I can get the digital download. So I've got them on digital download.
What
the physical releases are not,
and we can get them.
Well, the physical releases are not readily available. You have to get them through Creator VC, and you pre-order them way in advance, you know, and then when they come out, they send you a copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, so what happens is they front load the money, front load the purchase, and then they take the money to make the fucking thing, and then they'll send you the copy when it's done.
It's just a kick.
Well, it's cool if you watch the credits at the end, they'll put your name in the credits.
Yeah.
If you do it if you pre-order them, you'll get your name in the rolling credits at the end.
Yeah, that's all what I'm in it for.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's there. It's cool. I'm a dork, you know that.
Yeah. For 10 grand,
I'm a motherfucker watching.
Those,
where's my name at?
Yeah, for 10 grand, when the Kickstarter goes out for those, you can be executive producer for 10 grand, I think.
Yeah. You get points on the back end.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Shut up.
Yeah.
But they're really good at what they do. They've started to do live watch-alongs on a Sunday evening as well now, for the In Search of Fantasy that they're doing. So that's pretty good. You can join the community and chat with them. They've got a Discord page, and you know what I mean. They're approachable guys.
Yeah, that's cool.
I should do the same with my next film, Inside the Horse Asshole, and then
Yeah.
who want to produce it? Come on, give me money.
Yeah.
Kickstart it.
You need to shoot for the rights of that song, "Fucking in a Muddy Ditch" or whatever he said. You probably get the rights of that pretty cheap. Oh. Wild Wrangler says, "Never trust a person who owns a pig farm. My great-great-grandparents own a pig farm."
Yeah.
Can't believe I haven't seen that one, Brad. Talking about the
he's talking about the Smashing
pound
Machine.
what did you say, the Smashing Machine.
Yeah.
Then you said creature features played Jason in the Argonauts. Harryhausen was a genius. 4.5 months on the skeleton scene alone. I have seen something about that. That's dedication. Great pick. Dirk said, definitely would check out that doc, Tony. Huge special effects fan. Ray Harryhausen, great doc from Arrow. I have the Blu-ray. Willis O'Brien also.
Yep.
Cyclops.
He was like
Dragon,
he was like the Godfather, really. I think Harryhausen had learned from him.
I said, I missed that one. Is that Ymir Monster? I'm saying that right?
Ymir Monster, yeah.
Valley of
Gwangi. Valley of Gwangi was a dinosaurs and cowboys coexisted in the same universe.
Yeah.
Which is it's probably his best work. Valley of Gwangi.
Gizmo's just going, sure. Of course.
Great pick, Masters of the 80s.
Thank you.
Then you said, quite right, Tony. Harryhausen made sheet red cellophane flow like blood.
Cellophane.
Incredible animation.
Yep.
And he's saying sizzle, sizzle. When you say if you didn't like this, you need to be in the electric chair.
Yeah.
I think
if he finished it, he would like it.
I enjoyed it. Well, I mean, it was engaging. I ain't gonna say I enjoyed it, but you know what I mean. It was like you think about it. You think about it for days after. Yeah, everyone kissed that guy's fucking ass.
Yeah, there's some people out there like that, Dirk, that people like. We're not any of them, but there are some people out there people like.
Who have friends.
Yeah.
Brett says, "Love and Search of Darkness. All three are great. Also getting the box for part 3. Cool, man." Jamie says, "The Search of Darkness is awesome." Shit, yeah, those are great, Alan. Brent says, "The Search of Darkness is a great start to October horror watching. Part 3 was great. They sent the digital copy via email."
Yep.
Okay.
I'm bad about not checking my email. I probably got some bitch sitting in my email. Don't even know it.
It's on Shudder. You could watch part 3 right now, but I think it's 7
Part
hours.
3 is on Shudder?
Yeah, part 3 is on Shudder.
Day before yesterday, I just seen part 1 and 2. I didn't see part 3 on there.
Yeah, 3.
I might have overlooked it.
Yeah,
okay.
It's the longest one of the 3, but it all adds up to being 14 hours total.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wild Wrangler said, "Enough said, Pops." Dirk says, "Great stream, everyone. Had a bigger blast with Biden's son in a trap house. No needles required." Then you said, "Leviathan, the story of Hellraiser was good fun. Dead Mouse have a high production standard."
The story of Hellraiser, that would be cool. I'd like to check that one out.
Yeah, it would be. It would be.
I got a couple honorable mentions we can blast through real quick.
Yeah, throw them up there.
Earlier, Roar, you got to have this release. Stop fucking around. You got to quit bullshitting. Buy this. Great movie, and there's a little, I think, 40-minute documentary that goes with it inside here. It's awesome. Definitely check that out. Knuckle, I really enjoyed. It's about the British travelers, pikeys. It's fucking retarded. Definitely check that one out. October Country. It's about white trash in upstate New York. It's a good one. This one here, Windy City Heat. It's a mockumentary about this guy right here. They convinced that he was making a feature-length movie with Bobcat Goldthwait, and he's an idiot, and he believed it, and they just fuck with him the whole time. It is hilarious. Definitely check this one out. But that's about it for honorable mentions. I mean, there's a million others. There's a documentary called it's not called Too Big to Fail, but it's the Too Big to Fail documentary about the 2008 financial bailout that happened here in the United States and how fucking retarded our government is when it comes to, like, they're bickering over, everything. Anyway, Vice did it. I hate Vice, but they did a good job with that documentary. There's a documentary series I love called The Dark Side of the Ring, which is about pro wrestling. Vice also has, and the Beyond the Mat wrestling documentary.
Beyond the Mat is a fantastic sort of like look at vintage wrestlers. To look at Jake the Snake Roberts in that documentary, the guy is absolutely fucked. He's like wrestling in gym halls for like 40 quid so he can buy crack. You know what I mean? He's just fucked in it.
Yeah.
But
Terry Funk retires in it.
Terry Funk. Yeah.
And they did a follow-up to that. They did a follow-up to that called Resurrecting Jake the Snake Roberts, which is a really good documentary also.
There's a couple of cool wrestling ones. The one for me is, I don't have a full release of it. That's why I didn't show it, but is up there. You can see the Eureka release of Fright Night, the You're So Cool Brewster documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that release from Eureka hasn't got the full documentary on it. It's got part of it on there, but the full documentary isn't on that. But if you can find that doc, that is brilliant. It's a great release.
Yeah, a lot of good ones. Gizmo just bought Wrestling with Shadows. That's a good wrestling documentary.
I can also show quick.
You guys got any? Oh, let me get your full screen there.
Honorable mention.
All of these are documentaries that could have hit the list because I really like all of these.
That's what I wanted to see. Didn't get time. I wanted to see that.
This one is also great.
Yeah.
And this one we already talked about, Grizzly Man.
Yeah.
It was hard to make a list without putting Hashog on one of the docs, but this one is really great. I'm not kidding. It's a really good doc, and the Cove is really good. And this one, you're probably seeing this one, everyone. This is a really good one. This is. Have you seen this?
That's a Channel 4 release. That's a UK release one. That.
Yeah, I think it was on Netflix first. I saw it on streaming the first time,
right.
And it's more or less. I will not spoil anything because this is a movie like The Dear Zachary. It's a thriller, and it's the best thriller documentary I ever seen. You are sitting there on a ride, so it feels like you're watching actually a feature, like a fiction. And this one I got today. I haven't seen it, but I just want to show it to see if any of you have seen it.
Yes,
I have that one, but I haven't seen it yet.
There are two documentaries about Canon Films. That one and Electric Boogaloo. Of the two, Electric Boogaloo is the better film because it was made by independent people. The Go-Go Boys was made by both Golden Globus. So it's a bit biased. It looks in their favour more than the other documentary does. They're still both entertaining. I love Canon Films. I think everything that Canon did put out was sheer gold. But Electric Boogaloo is probably the better documentary of the two.
Okay. And this one was the first one I showed, The Act of Killing. It's a really good one.
Yeah.
And this one also. This is the war documentary I was talking about. This is a really good one.
Yep.
But that's the one I wanted. All of these I wanted to put on the list, but it wasn't space. So I was
There's one I forgot to mention called Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City 2017-19. It's a documentary about the Oklahoma City bombing. That is a great documentary. There's no physical release of it, unfortunately. But you can watch it on Netflix.
I have no more to show, but I have two I want to mention. These two almost made the list. One I didn't put on the list. I took a shitload of notes on it. But it's one that Brad recommended a couple of days ago. And I'm like, if I throw it on the top five, he's going to be like, yeah, bitch, that's because I recommended it. But
yeah, that's what
one called. It was one called Evil Genius.
The Wonderful Whites of West Virginia.
Not quite. Almost. The Evil Genius, the true story of America's most diabolical bank heist. This was a crazy ass documentary. I zoomed right through it. It was very entertaining. Also very white trash. But basically, one thing I didn't realize is that movie 30 Minutes or Less, the comedy 30 Minutes or Less with Jesse Eisenberg was based on this.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that. But anyway, watch that documentary. It's entertaining. The other one was one that I think Wild Wrangler recommended this one to me. It was Nightmares in Red, White, and Blue: The Evolution of the American Horror Film. Came out in 2009. I really enjoyed that one, but I just enjoyed In Search of Darkness more, and I thought it was a little redundant putting both of them on my top 5. But that's also a very good documentary. Again, that's Nightmares in Red, White, and Blue: The Evolution of the American Horror Film. Great documentary. It's narrated by Lance Hendrickson, which I'm a big fan of. So that was a good time. That's the only other 2 I was going to possibly put on my list.
Yeah, I mean, there's
How about you, Tony?
There's another good wrestling one as well called Forever Hardcore, the documentary about ECW wrestling.
ECW.
Probably the best of the wrestling documentaries because it is fucking nuts. Like,
yeah, they're crazy.
Every wrestler within that federation was fucking batshit crazy. Some of the stuff they were doing, the sort of the story arcs that they had going on, was just fucking ludicrous. And the documentary's like 6 hours long, is it? And it just goes through the whole arc of the whole crazy times. From when Terry Funk and Sabu wrestle, and Sabu rips part of the muscle out of his arm in a barbed wire match. From New Jack jumping off like 20 foot of concrete and landing on a concrete floor, and half his brain come out of his nose. There's just loads of ludicrous stuff in it.
Did New Jack stab somebody?
Scalped a 17-year-old kid in the ring because the kid lied about his age to get in the wrestling. And his father was sat in the auditorium, and New Jack's pulled the scalpel out and scalping the kid as his dad jumps up and said he's only 17. So New Jack got assault for that. Got an assault charge for it. It's crazy documentary. They crucified Raven on a live broadcast on a pay-per-view. All the lights went out, and when the lights came back on, they had Raven on a crucifix in the center of the ring, and they had to cut the pay-per-view because they were getting fucking death threats. Ludicrous times. And I loved ECW in it, but it was fucking batshit crazy.
Yeah,
so if you've not seen that one, forever
people from Pennsylvania are just hearing this, just going, "Yeah, wasn't that crazy?" It's just fucking Pennsylvania, dude.
Yeah, that's definitely worth a watch if you're a wrestling fan.
Yeah. Alan, if you liked Evil Genius, check out one called Tread. I believe it's on Netflix also. There's a physical media release. I've got it. It's on the way here. I just didn't bring it. It hasn't come in yet. Tread. I believe it's even on YouTube.
All right.
I've recommended it to Dirk about 5 times. Like, it's his brother they made the movie about, basically. His doppelganger in fucking Colorado.
Yeah, I got about 7 documentaries written down here. I got to check out. I got a lot of work.
Have you seen the doc King of Pong? I think his name, the name of the doc.
King of what?
King Kong, King of Pong, I think it is.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, Fistful of Quarters. It's I can't think of the guy's name. Fistful of Quarters. The documentary is also known as. It's about the King of Kong, the guy who had the highest world score on the original King Kong arcade machine, and he submitted the score after it being filmed on a VHS tape. So there was adjudicators there, and it was being filmed. But when they look back at the film, there's a sort of like millisecond discrepancy where the film sort of like glitches and the score goes really high. So what they were saying was, is it something wrong with the tape, or has it been altered? And that was the whole thing. King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters is that documentary. That's a really good documentary.
I've heard of that one before.
I have the DVD of that. I think it's funny because they go into so many crazy stories around that thing where they had like bounty hunters coming for them.
They take it so serious, and they just play fucking King Kong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Donkey Kong, sir.
All right. Then you said Electric Boogaloo is the superior of the Canon film docs.
Yes.
Is the synopsis of The Imposter Jessica White pretending he has talent.
The idea that people in back-ass West Virginia are obsessed with tap dancing is, those things don't go together. It's like, spaghetti and octopus. Like, I don't understand, like, what the fuck, it makes no sense, but they love tap dancing down there or in that part of the country for some reason. It's weird.
All right. Then just a mass transit incident. New Jack basically decided to part us.
That's the one. So the wrestler New Jack, the wrestler that he fought was a young guy called Mass Transit. Yeah. Mass Transit had put his name down on the roster, but lied about his age with some fake ID just to get on the roster, and he was only 17. But the kid was about 27 stone and about 6'4". He was fucking massive. And behind the stage, New Jack was working the arc out for the match, and the kid said to him, "I want you to cut me." And New Jack, he went, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, I want you to cut me." Right, fair enough. So New Jack fucking pins him, and as he picks him back up, pulls a scalpel out and fucking slices the top of his head. And this kid's fucking pumping with blood, like screaming, passing out. And his dad jumps up in the crowd and says he's only 17.
Yeah,
but that was him, mass transit.
Wow.
New Jack died recently, a young death. Shocker.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. You know what I mean?
Shocker. He threw somebody off a fucking building or something for literally like 60 feet in the air, threw him off the fucking thing. Like, that wasn't planned. Yeah. They didn't agree to it.
It was. He also threw. Was it? Yeah, it could have been Bam Bam Bigelow. I think he threw Bam Bam Bigelow off the top of a steel cage into a load of tables. But where the tables had been set up and where Bam Bam Bigelow was spotted, or was it Big Bad Vader? It was one of them. And when New Jack shoved him, New Jack knew that he shoved him too hard, and he spun over 360, and his head hit the tables, went through the tables, but his body missed everything and hit the ropes. It's a fucking mess of a thing. But all that is on that documentary. It is really good.
Yeah.
I need to check that out. Then you said, he's in trouble, Billy Mitchell. Dirk said, David Lynch, The Air is on fire. Surprised didn't get mentioned. What the fuck?
Room T37 is a good one. It's a Shining documentary.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned it earlier.
The one where the one guy follows Kubrick around, Kubrick's assistant. That documentary is on Kino.
I haven't seen it yet. I have it here somewhere. I'm sure Dirk.
Yeah, I got it too. It's over there. I didn't think about that one. Why the Gremlins, a puppet story, never get released?
Yeah.
Not sure. Well, guys, I guess we're going to wrap it on up here. We've been going for about 3 hours and 17 minutes. Not bad.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything they want to talk about or promote or anything coming up?
Monday, we're going to do a WTF. We're going to do a WTF Monday on Pearl. Me, Alan, Gizmo, Anthony, and Dirk. And then the following Sunday is coming not tomorrow, but this coming Sunday at 9 p.m. Me, Alan, Vinicio, Chuck, Gore Forever, Gizmo, and Brian Goes Blue are going to do our top 5 favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases. That's going to be a lot of fun.
That'll be a fun one. That'll be a fun one. And I still got the year 6 of the Scream Factory with Dead Pit coming up. We're still trying to lock down a date, whatever, but it'll be sometime this month, probably the last Sunday of the month, I'm guessing. So me and Born to Be Rad and Uncle Bill and Dead Pit will be doing that. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Cool.
And so we got some fun stuff coming up. So.
And I will, for the first time, recommend something on my channel. I actually watched all the Harry Potter and fucking what's they called, fantastic shit this Christmas, and I'm going to do a ranking of those because I was forced by Issy, my girlfriend, to see all of them.
Harry Potter and the fantastic shit.
But, to be honest, without spoiling anything, I don't hate them. I actually enjoy them, but yeah, we'll see. There are some of them that was really hard to get through. Have you seen Harry Potter?
Yeah.
I watched them once with my son. I mean, I didn't give him the due diligence I should have. Because I mean, I thought the acting was terrible in the first one. The kid acting was terrible, and I never grabbed me. I got the fucking the choo choo train over there, still in the box. I got all the fucking movies on 4K. I could watch them. I got them on Vudu on 4K. I could watch them on there because my niece's kids wanted them, so I bought them for them to watch them on my Vudu. But so I have no excuse. I need to sit down and watch them so I can say, you know, at least say I did. But
I was like,
it was one of those deals where my son was into them. I was in the room while he was watching them, but I wasn't paying attention. You know, I just wasn't into them. But
I've never seen one of them, and I will die that way.
But I will give props for one thing now, and
it's
the only children films that's made for the last 20 years I've seen that actually takes stuff seriously. There are no politics involved. There are no, like, how you say, like, they are not doing the kind of children acting like they are talking, like the grown-ups are not talking like children in the film and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that part. It felt like a 80s, beginning of the 90s kind of family.
Yes. There's no forced agenda with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They float, they're quite fluid in the way they go. They're very long-winded and they drag out, but there's no forced agenda into it. It just flow quite. I mean, it's a big thing in our house, Potter. My wife loves the whole franchise.
Yeah. My girlfriend do too. I'm not in love with them.
Psycho Gorman's a great kids movie. Came out recently.
Which one?
Dirk says
Psycho Gorman.
Gizmo to slap himself in the mirror twice.
Well, a Psycho Gorman, it wouldn't be a children movie in Norway.
Yeah. Well, the kid actors and stuff in it, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Jamie says
See,
Harry Potter so much
Jim's
better
right,
than you
though.
would expect. And holy cow, does it get dark?
Really dark at the end.
Yeah, I've never seen. I've said they've all been on my TV, and I think whenever me and my son watched them, I think the last two hadn't come out yet. I think. I don't know, but like I said, I don't remember that much about them, so I'll check them out.
Oh,
I wouldn't call it horror like Jamie does, but I would say it gets darker. Yeah.
Summer of '84.
Yeah, it's more it ends up going more gothic. Summer of '84 is a fantastic film.
What was that J.J. Abrams movie? 8mm or not 8mm?
Super 8.
Super 8.
Super 8.
8mm is not a kids movie.
Yeah, definitely not a kids movie.
Yeah.
Super 8's a great kids
Super
movie.
8's Super 8's a fantastic film. Fantastic film. But it just
Well,
feels like an 80s throwback.
Yeah. Summer of '84, I don't think anybody even gets killed, but it's still really good.
The Harry Potter franchise is
kid.
great.
Yeah.
Grew up watching them. I always loved them. And I'd rather play Russian roulette. So you got both sides of the coin there.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're going to jump out of here. I have to go watch Pearl for the second time. I have watched Pearl one time before, but to get ready for that WTF on Monday night, I'm gonna get it, take my notes, do the Siskel and Ebert aspect to it, so I can talk about it, you know, with some intelligence on Monday.
Yeah, Dirk swears it's ambiguous and there's stuff in there that we didn't see, so I'll go back through and do it again.
Yeah, well, guys, it's been a blast. Thank y'all for hanging out. And
yes, as always. Yep.
Still need to check out Fantastic Beasts. Who's never seen it?
Gizmo's never seen Pearl.
Oh, you've never seen Pearl? Okay. Have you seen X? You've seen X, right?
Yeah.
Go. All right. Well, yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be a fun thing Monday night, man. Looking forward to that one. You haven't seen it?
Tony, you would like X.
I've not seen Pearl. I've not seen X.
X is a throwback. You'd like it. A little slow for you. A little slow for you, but when it picks up, I think you'd like it.
I've seen Halloween Ends.
In the screen.
The last
good.
Don't deserve to be in the same sentence. All right, guys. It's been a blast. We're going to get out of here. Everybody good.
See you soon.